All right, we're back for the 50th session of Red Skies here. We've made it to 50 sessions, guys. Woohoo! Only took us, what, a year and a half? No, a year and 3 months, because it was March of last year. Well, it was March of last year, so when we started. Late March, early April, something like that. So it's really been not as much as you think. Last time, you guys attacked the nimble, the rest of the nimble that was putting boxes in through this portal in the basement of the warehouse. You fought a crazed, called him a wizard, but you're not sure if he was a wizard or a sorcerer or something. He was just calling down weird powers. And then these grells and gibbering mouther came through the grells came down to the ceiling, the mouther came out of the portal. It was just nightmares and horrors all over the place. But you prevailed. After Hylough almost got taken out in the first round with some very unlucky hits for him, but lucky for me. And Dresd'a getting paralyzed briefly, and what else happened?
Or Rhux
got blinded and stunned for most of the battle.
The whole game.
Yeah, it was an interesting sort of thing. However, Rhux did get the final hit on everything, so it is what it is. After that, you guys met the captain you were here to rescue. He was a complete and utter ass. Totally pissed off Hylough, which was humorous when you look back at it. But and then you also found an altar you found an altar on a room with writing all over the walls, very reminiscent of what you saw in the ziggurat, under the ziggurat on the castaway island you guys were castaways on. And in fact, the creature that came through the portal was somewhat similar to it, not exactly the same. It was definitely smaller, not nearly as many tentacles, and more amorphous than it was tentacled. But the idol that was on the altar you found was very much similar to what you saw coming out of the portal on the island where you were castaways. You found some scrolls there as well, which between the walls and the scrolls kind of detailed what Praedyth was telling you, is detailing some strange math that seemed to imply how to shrink multiple dimensions of higher order down into dimensions of lower order, sort of implying that the portal was being created by from a place that had more dimensions than what you're currently are at. Before that even happened, Iylis with Detect Magic went around and figured out that the portal was being kept open. The magic of the weave that was holding the portal open was tethered to the very symbols that were around the warehouse, and was able to dispel them all with his last spell, and cut the portal off from this side, closing it up. After kind of looking around for a bit, you found an odd sextant looking thing that just seemed like it had too many different ways of measuring. Was made out of gold, had several diamonds in it. You also found a dagger that Hylough picked up and announced to everybody that he had, because you guys have had some problems with strange magical weapons recently. Brian's on his own. And then you guys headed back to the docks. However, Marcus was without you guys, and so you guys got a little bit lost before you finally found your way to the north side of the island, and were able to, from there, kind of walk around and get yourselves back to the docks. Once there, half the group basically got back on the ship, where they discovered that someone had left something for Marcus. I think Dresd'a and Iylis were with him at the time, so figured it was probably the gems that he was after. Hylough and Aaron then decided to head off and see if they could find passengers. Aaron more is just back up to Hylough. After talking with the dockmaster a bit, who kind of gave you a little bit of the runaround, but it seemed like he just didn't know what was actually available. You found out that there was a couple of people that were headed toward, that one in passage to Calastria, one at the Beholder's Blind Eye, and one at the Blue Turn. So you guys headed off for that. Meanwhile, Marcus and Dresd'a were speaking with Severino at the Beholder's Blind Eye, and drinking and things like that. When in comes Hylough, tries to find out from the bartender who it is that he's supposed to be there to try to find out about passengers. Bartender says you need to talk to Sarah. Sarah's not there. He ended up talking to Marcus and saying, hey, can you talk to Sarah when you do and ask about the passenger? And then he headed off to the Blue Turn, followed by Aaron, who was concerned for his mental well-being. Reaching the Blue Turn, you did find that there was a person there called, what was her name? Anita Fare, I believe is her name. I just had it. Where is it? Yeah, Anita Fare. You actually talked to her. She was a petite lass, about 5'2", something like that, blondish hair. And in fact, I didn't actually have this picture last time. In fact, I still don't have the picture because I forgot to add it today. Let me quickly let me finish this summary and then I'll drop those in while you guys start to think about what you want to do. Talking with her, found out she and a fellow merchant were trying to get to Calastria because they were late for starting a new job there. They looked relatively harmless, and they agreed to 25 gold for the two of them staying in amongst the crew. They seemed a little unhappy about that, but at the same time realized that you guys were the only game in town, so were accepted it. Hylough and Aaron went back to the ship. Meanwhile, Marcus spoke with Sarah about a variety of things. A deal that went down between her and Valiakos, and the fact that the captain's table seems to be under assault from Mad Dog, as well as finding out that a couple people had asked after him, or a couple of the Inquisitors had asked after you guys about a week after you guys had left, and then about a week after that, somebody came in asking about Iylis. Last thing you learned is that there was a man upstairs who was a dignitary from Navigari, who supposedly knew Marcus's mother when she was a child, and from that learned that Marcus's mother was part of a defunct noble house from Navigari, House Tedeschi. At that point, Marcus decided to head back, because to get the papers that were related to the wizard that was supposedly in there when you guys first took over the sea spray. But given that it was late, decided to just stick it out at the ship. And that's kind of the high level overview. There's a few things I'm sure I'm missing in there. You guys spent watches and nothing seemed to happen through the night. And it is now morning of Breeze of the 4th. The day dawns nice and clear with a slight westerly breeze, and it is now dawn. What do you guys want to do?
Are we trying to leave?
You guys have awoken.
So guess everyone let's all get together in the captain's quarters and figure out what we're going to do, if anything, this morning.
Tide leaves at approximately 11:30.
Gotcha.
So you have about 5 hours at this point in time before basically you'd want to leave.
Well, when the meeting forms, I'm going to tell them might want to get some. I'm going to look into this cargo that may or may not be on the up and up, or to get into Calastria.
So, and before I do that, Iylis, as you're going in, I pull you aside and let you know I found out some news that an older woman with some guards came asking around about you after we left. I don't know if you know her or it's family, or it doesn't sound like you're necessarily your witch hunter, wizard hunter style, but I guess it could be. Do you know anything about that?
And
I'll give whatever description was, whatever I got.
So a woman with graying platinum blonde hair. She looks maybe she's in her probably in her early 40s. She has long hair, a petite nose is probably the best way to put it. It's probably how Sarah would have put it. She looked like she came from means. Was wearing a rather nice gown. There was two guards that were kind of watching over her. They were respectfully well back, so they were trying to look like they weren't with her, but it was very clear to Sarah that they were. The two men were wearing the colors of your house, Iylis, of your father's colors, basically. And what he describes does vaguely sound like your mother.
What? Yeah, I realized that I kind of never gave you a description of what my parents look like.
Oh, it doesn't matter. You didn't have to. I can always make stuff up like that.
Yeah, but that works. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
That sounds like someone who's familiar to me. Do you have any were there any distinguishing things on the cloak or anything like that she said?
No, it was relatively nondescript. It's as if this is your mother, it's as if she was trying to at least somewhat conceal her identity.
Got it.
But I don't know.
There's a possibility it might be my mother.
Okay. Well, she was asking around about you, and she didn't get anything, but
well, good.
You might.
But
I don't know.
I was here. She's probably behind me a little bit.
Okay.
I would assume.
And Sarah did mention that she had told them you guys were headed to the Ave Islands, but
exactly.
As a reminder.
Yeah, I'll tell him that as well.
That would line up with that.
So anyway, just wanted to kind of give you a heads up that.
Oh, yeah, that's much appreciated, but I don't really expect her to find us anytime soon. If she's that far behind us.
Well, I didn't know if you'd expect her to. Did she know you were coming here to leave?
She has her ways of figuring out exactly what I'm doing at any given point in time. But
well, I don't know how much money you guys have, but you might think she might run you down. We haven't exactly. The hunters ran you down, and your name has been used.
That's true.
But anyway, just wanted to again give you a heads up.
Yeah, I got the tracker app on the stalker.
Yeah,
tracker
probably.
App on your signal stone, your sending stone. Okay.
You need a burner stone.
Yeah, that's what you need. All right, so let's get in there. Go into the meeting.
Into the meeting.
You guys all head into the captain's quarters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoever wants to go, and just let everyone know Sarah's getting us food and for the trip, so that's our payment for helping us out. So that's a pretty good favor.
Very cool.
And we conceivably could have a passenger who I was going to talk to about. I don't know if we want to look passenger, but there's a nobleman / she
called him a dignitary.
Dignitary of the court. Needs transport, and the only thing is, I don't think we can necessarily put him. I've never met the man. I've heard he's, if we're looking at taking someone else, I'm sure we get money out of him. We just need to know, number one, he's probably going to want a nicer accommodation, which maybe the old chef's quarters, or we could figure out something out, but we really aren't equipped for noble. So I thought I'd let everyone speak their mind on this.
I think he should get much better accommodations than the rest of us, because we don't really have any to spare. He should understand that he's getting on
I haven't spoken with him at all. I just thought, I didn't know what the crew and the captain thought we should do. If this was something we wanted to pursue.
I'll give up my berth in the off the kitchen there to if that would work for him.
I will remind you, you do have the room down below in the cargo hold. There is still this room here.
Oh, that's true.
It just
Of
doesn't
course,
have
we don't have any furniture.
There's no furniture in there. There's no portholes in there. I mean, but it is still available. I mean, you can put. You haven't really done anything with it. You haven't even gotten enough cargo yet to even need to do anything in there. So you still have it available as another place.
So we could offer him that as a bare bones but private quarters. Again, if we feel like taking this on, I'm kind of ambivalent as far as whether we do or we don't. He seems.
Just give him a choice. He can either be down there, or he can be in the room off the kitchen with a couple other people. So semi-private or private, but
So we do want more passengers, is what I guess my question is.
More passengers, more money.
I'm just willing to accommodate. That's all. Yes, money.
Wow, you kind of shrank and his voice got a little dark, rougher there.
His voice did get rougher.
thought a
I don't know that
beard.
he shrank though.
Yes, money.
Little dwarvish beard. Okay, well, I will talk with Sarah about and see if they want accommodations.
If he doesn't want either, then he can get another ship. No.
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, again, I just want to see if we wanted passengers. So that's what I will do this morning, and then I will be back on and be ready to sail at changing of the tide. Anyone else got anything planned today, this morning?
Do we have any cargo that we're grabbing?
Currently, you
That's
do
what
not. Currently,
That's what I'm going to look into.
Okay, well, if you find any, let me know and I'll come help you get it on. But
The
You
only
could come
thing,
help me negotiate if you want.
The only thing you're currently expecting is the delivery of food and a case of ballista bolts. That's the only thing you're expecting. And then at some point before the tide turns, you're also expecting the two merchants to show up with their trucks. That's it right now.
Did you tell us we had merchants coming?
Yeah, didn't
What's
we
the
tell
people
you
that
I
about
got?
the tavern last time?
You guys met the merchants after the beholders.
Right, that's what I was saying. I know.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I told other people when we got back.
Yeah, Hylough mentioned it to everybody else, but
Okay.
You weren't here, so sorry.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're going to be with a crew. They've agreed to go with a crew. 25 gold for the two of them. Get the class tree.
Good money. Good money. They're desperate. So just keep in mind, the more passengers we take on, we can't really deviate our path very much. If we get in a storm or something along those lines, we can't make it a little short. It'd be harder to justify just stopping somewhere in between. So, okay. Anything else?
Dresd'a, did you want to go to the library? Cat?
rest in peace.
Sorry, I thought my dog's in. Can you repeat it?
Oh, were you going to go to the library this morning?
Yeah, you asked
Yeah.
about the library.
I want to do the library to try to learn about dream walking.
Okay. Well, Galsa was
will go with,
Galsa was going to go with you to try to find you
Right.
some scrolls and stuff for research.
Praedyth wants to go too.
I got a book buddy.
Yeah, 2 book buddies, it sounds like.
Yep. All right.
And a
So,
crow.
Rhux, Aaron, you guys doing anything in particular?
I
How
was-
much? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was planning on staying so I could be there for when the cargo and the other people arrive.
Okay. Rhux?
How much progress did he make with the powder last night?
Not a lot. You only had a little, like maybe an hour or two. It's a powder. It dissolves in water.
Cool.
That's where you're at currently. If you wish to continue doing that, you can. But you have other options as well.
Rhux will stick around by the ship as well, just so he can help out with anything. He's gonna spend some time in the water.
Okay.
Until everybody gets there.
Hey, Marcus, did you get the gem? And is it the gemstone? And do we need to give it to the other guy, the gnome, to start his stuff? Start working on the ballista?
John might have stepped away. John?
I
Damn
hear
it!
him
I was talking on mute.
Okay.
Yes, True told me you brought it in, and
right.
I will mention that to your artificer and get him working on that.
All right.
So
you guys start heading out of the captain's quarters. Aaron, you kind of stay back. Rhux, you head down and continue looking, and you head and start, stripping down so you can dive into the water a bit. Seems a little odd. A few people give you a little bit of a look before you, as you're taking everything off, and then you dive in and start swimming for a bit. Hylough, you and Iylis, is that correct?
I don't know. Do you want to go with me?
Yeah, sure. I'll come with you.
Okay. You guys head down the gangplank and start heading off on the docks. What you had heard about the previous day was 3 different people. You had heard about Hawkwind Trading Company. That one has a warehouse here on the docks. So you probably need to try to either. We'll probably do
the closest one first.
Well, we'll do an investigation roll here in a second. I'm just reminding you of the 3. Petchy Merchants, which is also has an office around here somewhere, and Valgarther. Now, Valgarther, is over on the Foundry, which is Isle of Lorentz. So that one, if you want, you would have to leave Viaja for. There's a couple ways to go from island to island. Well, technically 3 ways to go from island to island here in Margali. One way is to use the driftways. Basically, there is a series of wooden passageways that basically are just floating on the water itself. So they go up and down with the tide a little bit. They move a little bit with the water. You haven't seen any of those yet. Well, you saw probably a few of them last night when you came out of the north side of Yaha and were on that side of the docks. You could definitely see some going towards some of the other islands. Mostly because when you get on the other side of Yaha, the water there is a bit more calm because of all the breakwaters and stuff like that have been built on Viaja and beyond that. So that's one way to go. Another way is to get a gondola to have them take you there. Driftways would probably take you about half an hour to get to Lorentz. The gondolas would take you about 20 minutes. The gondolas would cost you some money. The third way is to find probably a teleporter or something like that, somebody to teleport you. Not something you're probably going to find. So there's really only the couple of ways. Or you could take your own ship and, sail over to the other side. So those are the ways you could get there if you decide to go talk with him. But for now, why don't you give me an investigation roll as you look for Hawkwind and Petchy. While you guys are doing that, Marcus, you head on down the gangplank and head towards the Beholder's Blind Eye. And lastly, Dresd'a, Galsa, and Praedyth. You guys actually follow Galsa as you guys are going off the ship. She's like, I've been to the Ateneo only a few times. It'll take us a little bit to get there. We need to get to the Isle of Thomas. And then once we have made it there, we will. You'll see. She immediately goes over to the dockmaster's house and says, "We would like a gondola. We are going to the island of Thomas." And Perro's there is like, "Oh, for you guys, yeah. I'll get something and come right around. Just give us a couple minutes." And then he sends a boy running off down the wharf a little bit. Let's see. You got a 6, right? 7 for investigation.
Yeah, it is. Iylis want to help me out here?
Sorry, I
don't know.
See.
Yeah, you can try. You can make a roll. If it
Investigation.
will work.
It seems to be running well so far.
Okay,
So
cool. Hey, wow, you guys are
Yeah,
investigation
we're,
buddies.
You just run
Can't
into
see
each other.
anything.
Investigation buddies. No, it's just you tell me how. Basically, the roll tells me how long it takes you to get there. So you guys are asking around a bit. It's going to take up a little bit. Actually, Hylough, give me another roll because I keep forgetting that you at least were here for 3 weeks and you did do dock work, so you might have a better idea of where it's at than I'm giving you credit for. Okay, so you remember where Petchy is, so you're gonna head off there pretty much right off the bat. So
Okay.
we'll get back to you in a few minutes because the first one who's going to make it somewhere is Marcus. Marcus, you make it to the Beholder's Blind Eye in about 10 minutes. Heading in, it's definitely early morning at this point. There's maybe 1 or 2 drunks still kind of passed out on the table. You see Calliope, the barmaid, a little bleary-eyed, trying to get a couple of them to wake up. She tries a few times, and then she takes a tankard, which she had in her hand, and she just dumps over one of them. It turns out it's water, and he just splutters awake. And then she happens to notice. She's like, Marcus, yeah. Sarah! She just shouts. And the other guy goes, the other guy who was passed out. Oh, she's like, oh, good. Nice timing. That works for me. A few moments later, Sarah comes in. Marcus, did you bring the papers?
I did.
Okay. That was Pete, but it also works for Sarah.
No, yeah, I was gonna wait and say, but yes, I brought the papers. That was the main reason. I care about the papers more than I care about the passenger. To be honest,
she goes down behind the bartender and pours a glass of something and hands it to you, and then pours a glass to herself, and you take a little drink. It's got a little bit of alcohol to it, but it's more of a pick me up, so it kind of wakes you up a little bit. It's a form
just
of
like mother's milk.
It's a form of cold coffee, but not exactly. It's made from something else.
Okay.
She's like, oh, so the papers. Did you bring papers? I also talked to the guy. If you want, I can send somebody up now to get him. He's awaiting your arrival.
Yeah, if you would, that would be.
Right.
We want to talk about the papers first, though.
Yeah, we can if you want.
They bring
we
anything.
can if you want.
I want to look in your office.
Okay. Oh, really? I think it's that important. All right. She goes with you, and you guys go into the back and into the office. And you give her the papers. Now, this is Pete that's talking now.
Yeah.
I cannot remember if Praedyth made a translation. So, Praedyth, do you remember if you made a translation? Because it was written in a separate language.
That is a good question. I don't believe that I did.
Well, I was going to give
sure.
you an odd even roll. Because I wasn't sure if you did or not, and I was probably sure that you probably didn't remember either. So, do you wish to have odd or even, and then roll a d6?
I'll take odd.
All right.
You want me to roll it?
Yeah, roll a d6.
Okay.
Ugh.
All right. So you did not make a translated copy of it.
Well.
Okay.
Or if you did, you didn't. It's not complete, or Marcus couldn't find it.
Yeah, got lost or something.
Yep. All right. So you pull out the papers and hand them to Sarah, and she starts looking them over, and furrows her brow furrows a bit, and she continues to look at it a little bit more, and she's like, "I don't understand this language."
I was hoping you might have someone could translate it, or the person on the ship was trying, but I don't think he got very far with it. If we can't, then
unfortunately, I can't read the language. Like, it's written in some language I don't understand. I don't know how to read. Like, maybe it's Draconic, maybe it's Abyssal, maybe I don't know. I just don't understand. I cannot understand this language. Sorry.
That's all right. It was a long shot. Did Praedyth mention what language he thought it was in? Did he ever?
Well, the problem with Praedyth's ability to read any language is he never knows what the language is because he just reads.
He just comprehend languages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like his ability just reads the language, so he doesn't actually know what the language is. To him, it's always common, or it's always his native tongue, basically. So to him, it's always Gnomish.
Yeah.
But he can translate it to common because he knows common. It's like he can take any of these things and write them out again in any of the languages he knows.
Okay.
So if you ever wanted to have something translated like that, he can do so.
Oh, cool. I should have thought about that, but I did not. So
well, I did when I did this because I was like, oh, I know stuff about this, but I don't remember if they made a translation or not.
Well, okay. Well, whatever it was.
She's continuing to look at them. She says, these diagrams are kind of odd, though. Like, there are pictures in there. She's like, diagrams look almost magical in nature. I do remember Praedyth saying that they did look somewhat magical in nature. You just couldn't understand the rest of it. The other, what he mentioned to you previously was that it was like it was written in some sort of code. Like, when he was reading it, it seemed like reasonable language, just he didn't understand the code. Like, it seemed to him like it was in a code. So I don't know if you want to mention that to her or not. It's up to you.
Yeah, I will. I will say that it seemed reasonable, but it was something like a thieves' code or something. I wish you don't have. Is there someone in you might know who could translate or has a spell which would, or is it too early for that?
It's a little early. I can try to see if I can get a hold of a guy. Otherwise, if your little gnome friend can get here, then we could probably have him read it again, right?
I would, but I think he's gone to the library.
Well, that's a good 30-minute ride by gondola from where you guys are. So it'll be a bit.
But
all right. Well, I mean, tide isn't for another, 4 or 5 hours. So, I mean, if you can get me something, even a snippet of it, that might be enough to kind of help you out. Otherwise, I'll see if I can get a friend of mine that I know that specializes in languages and things to come on over and get here. I might be able to get him here in an hour or two.
Well, I have time. I'm not, other than this and our prospective passenger, I'm here to give quality time. Smirk at that.
Yeah, you and I need quality time.
But not involving cleaning the tables this time.
Oh. Well, I need some dock work. There's a few of the wharves need some fixing again. With that, you hear and the guy who normally runs the bartending is standing at the door and says, "Guys out here."
Okay. And
then he turns and heads away.
I'll go out and meet him.
All right, you head out and you see 2 men, actually. You see this guy. And you see this guy sort of standing back and to his left. The first guy's...
Okay, that screams monk. The second one does, but anyway.
The first guy's clothing is definitely more fine than the second guy's. The second guy's clothing looks more like linen, wool spun kind of things. So a little more rustic.
Glance at the second guy's hands. It looked more like he's a someone who's more used to books and...
give me a quick perception check.
We gotta close pictures. Okay.
Sorry, man.
No, that's all right. Well, doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. You try to glance at his hands, and you notice that they're like sort of folded together in front of him. So you really only see the top of his right hand, and the back palm, and there's not enough there for you really to get an idea of whether or not he's bookish or not. And also you sort of get distracted as the other guy steps forward and puts out his hand and says, "Ah, my name is Rutillo. I heard you have a ship that you're headed to Calastria."
We do. Sarah has mentioned that you have looking to go that way, so perhaps our paths can go together for a time.
Rutillo Buccieri. His last name should have been. He would have said it. Yes. I am
Marcus.
Marcus, good to meet you. We are headed to Calastria. We have some business there that needs urgent attending to. What is your ship like? Is it
Well, our ship is it's definitely a seaworthy vessel. We don't have a lot of amenities at this point.
So John, unless you want to lose that $1,000 TV, I suggest you come down here because it's popping off the mount.
Okay. Well, let me.
You continue. You start your discussion with Rutillo, and we move over to Hylough. Hylough, you're Hylough and Iylis. You guys are on your way to Petchy's. And you're heading down the thing. You've already went past the blind eye. You actually passed the blue turn. You know that Petchies is kind of on the western side of the island, kind of as you make the turn to go up towards the north. But you're not quite there yet when you notice when something catches your eye, Hylough. You notice an office for a place called let me find the name here real quick. Sorry, too many notes in too many different places. Nantes Exports. And the reason why it catches your eye is that I'm pretty sure that's the company your father used to work for.
Huh. Hey. Well,
but you don't remember this. You don't remember this office being here, a month ago before you left. And it does look like it's been recently remodeled. So this looks like it's been here maybe 2-3 weeks at the most.
Okay, well, I might step inside and see.
All right, so you open the door, and it's a bit early in the morning, but the door is open, and you step inside, and there is a woman sitting behind sitting in a sort of behind a counter there. When you step in, the office is pretty Spartan. There is a sort of a map on one wall that seems to be a map of the Sea of Tears. This probably the better way of saying is the southern part of Nyarvine. It seems to stretch all the way from Seervine all the way to the end where Emerdal is, showing basically the major ports of the Kingdom of Seerly, or the Seerly Kingdom, all of the major city-states of the Margalis, the Margali nations, Airday, a little bit of stuff like that, the Shires of Airday, all that sort of stuff. So they're showing a whole bunch of those things. But what catches your eye is the woman behind there is a Seerly woman. And she kind of she looks up as you and Iylis enter, and then she starts to look back down, and she looks up more quickly again, and she's like, "How can I help you, sir?"
Yeah, I just wandering by, and I noticed a shop here. How long have y'all been here?
Only 2 weeks now.
Okay. How long have you worked for the company?
Well, I used to work out of the office in Errate. God, French sucks for me. And Errate, you understand, you immediately know what that is. That's where you spent that's where you grew up initially before you were going to get moved to Emerdal. That's where you were born. That's where you grew up. So, or at least till you were 6 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Although I did relook at your stuff. I think you were 8 when you guys got marooned on the island. So,
yeah.
Well, I relooked at some of your history.
So do you?
When you ask her how long she's been worked there, and she's like, she looks a little nervous. She says, and she follows it up with, but I've worked with the company for many, many years, sir. Is there any particular reason why you've decided to stop in here now?
Well, my father used to work for this company.
When you say that, she looks very confused for a moment. She says, "Your father used to work for this company? Really?"
Yeah. Well, we years ago we were on a ship. We got shipwrecked, or we got pirated, and then we were left stranded on an island for all these years, and he died on the island.
She now seems very, very confused. She's like, "Oh, really?"
Well,
okay, all right, fair enough. I really didn't know that. I really didn't know that he had died. I'm pretty sure I talked with him no less than a month before I moved out here. He's the one that sent me this assignment.
Wow. And what's his name? What's the name of the man you talked to?
Fortunately, I'm trying to find that. I just realized I didn't write it down in the thing. It's in a different. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Give me a second. Please don't go over there. Oh, come on. Stuff like that. I just have to. Unfortunately,
Hylough Morbicon Senior.
No, Unfortunately, I have a bunch of stuff in a variety of places, and so it just irritates me that I can't find certain things because it's
I know Morbican Junior.
Morbican Junior. His name is Morphia. No, his name is not Morphia. Give me one moment, and I will have the answer I am looking for.
Taught you well.
It is right. Yeah. Gonna be on this article right here.
I should know my dad's own name, but testing her knowledge.
No, I'm sure you do. Just gotta find. Wow. I really need to change that name now because the old name was before I did some of this other stuff, and so it's terrible. Close that. Give me. Normally, I'm way better prepared than that, but it's the one thing I forgot to do. I need to go to page 86. His name is she says Marin Nantes, the name on the door.
Is that my father's name?
That is not your father's name.
I don't think
That is not the guy you remember as your father, no.
But has that always been the name of the store?
Nantes? Yes, it's always Nantes has always been the name of the export company he worked for. Yes.
So it can't be the same person.
Your
right?
father's name was Kalen, by the way.
Kalen.
Yep.
So who are you talking about? Person?
Are you asking?
Guy?
Surly woman.
She
Surly
says.
woman.
She says. Oh, my name is Iris. I'm sorry, Iris Legault.
Nice to meet you. I'm Iylis.
Iris and Iylis, nice. She's like, well, Marin owns the company. I'm pretty sure that's his father. Are you telling me you're not Marin's son?
Not that I know of. So you're thinking that I'm his son because of you? Do you think I look like him? Is that what you're saying?
Oh yes, you're the spitting image.
Oh wow. Well, that would be a shocking discovery.
Certainly.
Maybe I was switched at birth or have a different father.
Maybe your dad is not your real dad.
Give me a quick intelligence check.
As your gears turn.
Yeah.
As your gears. It's not more about gears. It's just that something else has happened in the last month that I'm trying to see if he remembers. Yeah, he remembers it. So you remember back when you guys had taken over the Sea Spray and you were having that party. An old grizzled sailor had talked to you, and when he talked to you, he sort of made it sound like he knew your father. He did talk about Kalen, but he also sort of he kept on kind of giving you a double take every so often.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever he was sure he thought you weren't looking. You caught him doing sort of that kind of staring at you a couple times.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
But that was the old guy who definitely remembered your father, Kalen. Like you guys talked about that.
Okay.
But he kept on giving you this odd look, like something just seemed off to him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when is the boss coming?
Well,
this way.
Until I saw you, I didn't know he was here. So, and she's like, "Hold on, you're telling me it's a mistaken identity? Then I do not know. I don't. As far as I know, he's not here. As far as I know, he's still in Erete."
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, I've had no contact with him or.
Oh, actually, I did put the name down here, and I'm an idiot. I just need to go down further down in my notes. The name I actually put down was Etienne.
What was the one that you came up with?
Marin.
Oh, I don't like the anti-M's.
Etienne Rouenet Etienne Ruinet is actually the person who owns Nante's exports.
Okay,
And
so
she
his
thinks
name's not Nante. Okay.
no, his name is not Nante. And she thinks you're his son. Is the gist you're currently getting. And that might explain her nervousness.
Okay.
She seems still very nervous, and it's kind of awkward now because she feels like you get the feeling that she still feels like that you're Etienne's son, and she's very confused
Undercover
as to
boss.
why you're doing this.
I'm undercover boss.
But at the same time, she doesn't want to contradict you because if you are Etienne's son, then she could get in trouble.
Right. Well, I'll try to put her at ease and tell her, listen, don't worry about it. I am as surprised about this information as you are to have handed it to me or to see me walk in the door. So, hey, you wouldn't have anything that you want shipped to Calastria?
She's like, not that I know of. I haven't gotten any orders from or anything like that from anybody either there or at headquarters to ship anything there. We don't really have a lot of anything in stock here. Most of what we're doing right now is just local trading. Still trying to establish this area and to be quite honest, it's been really difficult. I mean, with the embargo that's going on, even though I'm just trying to trade between various people here in the city itself, they just don't really want to work with me. So I'm not sure how well this is going to work out here, but it's maybe the wrong place, wrong time kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of that going around these days, it seems.
Yeah. I've run into that too. Well, just listen, I'm sure that Etienne, I should say, Etienne has Ruinet remembers my father, or at least the person I think is my father. So if you would
actually give me a quick intelligence check. You were as old as 8 before you crashed on the island, so it's possible you might remember an Etienne. Now you start to think about it, you do remember an Etienne. You didn't know what his last name was, but you do remember an Etienne coming by every so often and talking with your father, and
sleeping with my mother. It
seemed as if he was your father's boss based on the way some of what you're recalling here. You don't ever recall if he was ever there when your father wasn't, but it's hard to say because your father was a Corsair. He was a member of one of the crews, and so he would be away for months at a time as well. So it's very possible that somebody like this could have come by while he was gone, but you don't distinctly remember that.
Well, I'll just say, just leave a message, let them know that Hylough Morbicon just dropped by, and
okay, I will let him know.
And just relax. I'm not here to test you. Okay, so then we're gonna head on to Petchy's.
Okay, it's good to meet you, sir. Good
to
luck.
meet you too.
And you guys head out.
Mental note of that, please.
Yeah, and maybe another 5 minutes later, you come upon Petchy's. Petchy, heading into Petchy's, the place definitely looks like it's been here for a while. It's a little ramshackled. Ramshacked's probably not the word. It is a little bit run down in the sense that it needs some upkeep that it probably just hasn't gotten in a while. Heading into the office there, you find a man who is currently talking with a couple of maybe early teens, giving them some orders about moving some stock around in the warehouse. You realize that this office actually probably is just inside the main warehouse because you saw a warehouse next door to it. And he looks up at you guys and sort of gives you kind of a nod and a give me 1 second kind of look. Finishes giving them what they're supposed to be doing for the day, and then as they head off, he turns to you guys and says, "Oh, what can I do for you? I am Alejandro Peche."
Hey, I was sent over here by who was it? It wasn't Hawkins. No, that was a different one I'm looking for.
No, it was Andre from the exchange.
Yeah, sent over here by Andre.
Andre, he's a good man. Good man. He's he facilitates quite a bit of cargo going through Viaja.
Yeah, and then I lower my voice. He indicated that you might have something going to Calastria that we could help you get there.
Calastria. Not a lot of call for things these days. For things being sent out these days with the embargo and things like that. In fact, we've been losing a bit of money because of that. We have some things sitting in the warehouse that really should have gotten there, I don't know, maybe a month ago. But unfortunately, we have to sit on them with our hands, and we can't send them anywhere. If the manifest says Calastria, we seem to always have problems.
Well, we're heading that way.
Really? Heading to Calastria? You're a brave man.
Yeah, we may not know exactly what we're going into, but you know.
I don't think you're going to have any problems with any fights or anything. Just be wary of embargoes and potentially blockades. I've heard there's going to be a blockade now.
Right. We're looking to take on some more cargo that might.
Oh, really? Well, I do have a manifest that says some cargo is looking to go to Emmerdal. And it kind of gives you a little bit of a look.
Do I do an insight into the look?
Sure, if you like. Well, with this talk of manifests and the fact that just previously he talked about Calastria, and when any time anything says Calastria on the manifest, it has problems. The fact that he sort of highlighted manifest again and said, I have something that says Emmerdal on the manifest. You think maybe he's saying that this is probably something for Calastria.
So this stuff is heading to Emmerdal. It might need to be dropped off somewhere before we get there.
Well, I don't know. I mean, things happen in transit, you know? Things fall off the ship, so to speak.
Yeah.
I would hope not, though. I mean, we have no way of doing insurance and things of that nature. And if we're going to pay you for such a trip, that I'm sure we would have to have somebody go with you just to make sure that everything is okay.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. Well, so how much does that weigh, and how much is it?
Well,
how much you
we
offering?
We have actually a few things that need to go to Emmerdal. 30 barrels of gunpowder. So that's about 3,000 pounds, so a little over a ton and a half. Each barrel is 100 pounds, so actually that's not true. Each barrel is more than that, because a barrel. No, this is the set. Yeah, so it's about 3,000 pounds. He says, but for that one, we would pay as much as 50 gold, plus any food necessary for our merchant to go with you. The second is 20 barrels of ale. That one we would only spend 65 gold for. And the last is 15 crates of some glassware. That one we would also pay 50 gold for, but it's much lighter, but very, very fragile. If you were to take it all, well, we would probably not pay you all 165 gold for that. That would be silly. But because we would only have the merchant once, but we would probably pay you 150.
Look at Iylis. What does Iylis say?
So you're looking at about 500 pounds per barrel of ale. So that's 10,000 pounds. That's basically 5 tons.
Right.
30 barrels of gunpowder is about a ton and a half. So you're looking at about 11 and a half tons. The distance to Calastria, because that's what we're talking about here, from Margali is 650 miles. So let's do a quick back of the calculation. 650 miles, 50 times 2 copper equals 1,300 times 11 and a half tons divided by 100 is about 150 gold.
Imagine that.
But that's even. That's running even, basically.
If you do the going rate of 2 copper per ton per mile, yes.
Yeah, well, so
it's up to you guys if you want to try to negotiate.
The manifest says this is going to Emmerdal, and you're giving us the amount to go to Calastria. That doesn't sound right.
He kind of looks. He kind of gives you a look and is like, "Oh, shrewd. It's very shrewd. I see." 200 gold, and my man rides free. 200. It would be about 200 gold to send that same cargo to Emerald.
And we pay his board.
He basically he would get to ride, and you would provide him with food.
Okay. Do we have enough on order to handle that?
You don't know, because Marcus did that last night. He's the one that set it up. And he didn't really tell you. He just said food was being.
He didn't really tell us
food
how
was
many
being
people
brought.
we could fit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, we'll and we have no problem holding this much weight, right?
No, 11.5 tons. You can hold 100 tons. As of right now, the only thing that you really have on ship is
it's a broken helicopter.
It's a broken helicopter, which is probably about 2 tons, maybe 3 tons max.
Right. Okay, we'll take the job. I'll tell him what dock we're on, and
right.
and
when
we're going out. Can you get it to us?
Yes. I mean, you got. Yes, we could get it there before the tide, before 11:30. Yes, before approximately noon. Yes, we could get it there.
Right.
I will get he does a thing and then rings a bell, and one of those kids comes running back and he says, the cargo, Bay 10. All of it. He's like, all of it? Yes, all of it. We need to get it down to the dock near the harbor masters. We have until probably 11. We have about 3 hours. You guys can do it? They're like, yeah, I'll go get them guys. Let me talk to Pero.
And the name of your guy that's going with us?
The name of the man who is going to go with you is Guido.
Guido. I like Guido.
Guido Pezzi. He's actually my nephew. He's a very nice guy. A little young, a little green around the ears, but we're trying to get him to learn the ins and outs. This is the perfect kind of cargo for him.
Right.
You know.
And he knows what to do at what point. I mean, we're not.
Yes, he knows what to do.
If
he will know what to do.
We don't have to worry about when we get to Calastria. He's going to handle all of that.
I don't know why you would have to worry about anything at Calastria. You're going to Emerdal, remember?
That's right. I understand. But we are
he will know what to do. He will know what to do.
Okay. Great. I don't want to have to think about it.
Okay.
Fair enough.
And he'll have all the money with him?
He'll have all the money with him. We will pay you. Right. We'll pay you 50 gold up front, and once we get there, we'll pay you the rest.
Okay. Sounds good.
You will have it. Very good. Right. Good doing business with you. Hylough, correct?
Hylough.
I'm assuming you gave him his name because you probably did.
And this is Fred.
And Fred. Hylough and Fred. Yes. Very strange name. But it doesn't sound very Searly to me, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Definitely not from around there.
Fair enough. All right. It's good doing business with you. He shakes your hand. And we got to get to this.
Yes.
Guys, what do you guys do?
So I guess we'll head on over to the
Hawkwind?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys head off towards Hawkwind.
Have you guys never seen Bugs Bunny?
Why is that?
All the gunpowder that we just took on with the match.
Oh yeah.
20 barrels. 20 barrels of gunpowder. It's gonna be great.
Just don't light it on fire.
Or 30 barrels of gunpowder. It's gonna be awesome.
If we need it, we got it.
Yeah.
And keep it dry. Remember that.
Yeah.
Marcus.
Keep your powder dry.
We're coming back to you because you were talking to them.
Sorry.
So he had announced himself as Retilo, and his friend Pau. Or actually, he didn't give the person's next to him name. So now you know, but it's Pau.
So
he had mentioned that they had business in Calastria, and they were seeking to get there as soon as they could.
Well, fortunately, we are going to Calastria.
Yes, this is what Sarah had mentioned.
We are, like I said, more of a Spartan quarters at this moment. We have a room.
Yes, that's where we are. Yes, talking about the thing. There is no room.
Well, we have a room.
Okay.
You would be 2 hammocks, but the room does not have portholes. It is just a room for privacy, but it is not furnished at this moment.
Other than hammocks, correct?
Other than hammocks.
Okay. This would be acceptable. Be better than having to share any time with the crew or anything like that.
So it would be both of you?
Yes, the two of us. This is my manservant Pau. He helps me with my things. You understand what a manservant is, so he's a butler,
yes.
basically.
Okay.
So he doesn't explain what he is.
I can't remember
My
what
manservant
the
Pow.
oh, what's the guy from 80 Days Around the World? Anyway,
Yes, I know what you mean. But
I'd call him that, but I don't remember. Can't remember his name.
yeah, similar to
Around the world in 80 days.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about.
There's always a but.
Cost. Well, cost.
Cost. Yes, we were expecting that. Given that it's Calastria, originally I was thinking we'd be in a cabin with a variety of things. We were expecting to probably play somewhere between 25 to 30 gold. At this point in time, you're saying it's a private room with a couple of hammocks and things like that. Maybe 15.
For 20, you can come. No, I mean 25, 30 without. It does have bunks.
I like it.
And you were getting there. It's going to be hard to get in and out. There are rumors of a blockade, so
yes, I've heard this as well, which concerns me because I need to get there as soon as possible. The trail that we are searching for this. I've said too much.
Well, we have our methods to get around that. We believe.
All right, then 20 is fair enough. Then we will agree to that. I will agree to that.
Very well. So 20 gold, and the ship's name is the one I can never remember or pronounce. Why couldn't we name it something in English?
The Essenza dell'Oceano?
Yeah, that just rolls off the tongue.
The essence of the ocean. It's not hard. Essenza dell'Oceano.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
America. Anyway, look, I'm an international business minor, and I can't speak a language to save my life.
Yeah,
therefore, I am computer QA.
All right. He agrees with this. He says, any particular time you're leaving?
We're leaving with the tide today.
All right. Pow, if we would get our things, we should probably get ready to go as soon as possible. I know there's some things to pack up. And Pow goes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will get everything ready for you right now.
I will go and let them know to prepare.
And they turn and start heading back up.
So I'll talk to Sarah. We need more food.
Sarah's like, okay, I'm sure the other guys have already gotten there and delivered what you gave before. In fact, I had already bumped it up to 10 days, but assuming you were going to take these two guys anyway. But do you need more?
Oh.
Well, 10 days might be enough, remember, because that's 10 days at 20 people. So you've got, if it's 6 days at 20 people, you've got another 4 days of 20 people. So you've got another 3, 4, 5 extra people, maybe 6. So 6 extra people. So I've rechanged how this works in some sense for what you guys have. I have started, instead of putting in X number of days for X number of people, I basically put in, here's how many days you have of food. I.e., if you had one person eating this, it would last this amount of time.
Okay.
So what they are giving you is 200 days of food. So if you have 30 people times 6 days, that's 180 days. So you could just make it.
And I believe we have 12 with our crew, and then an extra 14 people, plus these new 2 people, we're at 16 people. Because I don't know about Hylough. Well, no, Hylough did tell me this morning, didn't he?
Yeah, he mentioned there was 2 other people.
There'd be 18 people.
Well, you have Severino, you have Beanbick, you have Gulsa.
Right.
So remember, you have 13. You have
12 crew members.
12
right?
crew plus you 7. So you already have 19 on the ship.
Oh, shite. Okay.
So then you had Gulsa, Beanbick, Severino. That was the other 3 that you had coming out here. So at that point in time, you're at 22 people. You're now adding 4 more people, so you're at 26.
26.
Plus 1 merchant, which you don't know about yet, but that's 27. Plus potentially another merchant if they take on Hawkwind's guys. So that's 28. So that's less than the 30 people times 6 days, which is 180 days.
And it's going to take us 6 days to get there, we thought?
Yes, 6 days. So
you would have, be okay.
You would have approximately enough food left for 1 more day for you and your crew, but no one else. If you made it there exactly right. Now, you do have some more food that you had because you bought extra to come here. I just don't remember how much you have extra. Let me take a quick look.
Can I buy 2 more days of the food, Sarah? Or is it already done?
No, I'm sure I can send more. The tide doesn't leave for a while. If you want, we can do another 2 days.
Okay. If you would. And how much will that cost us?
Oh no, don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
You are a saint. And you raised me, so you're definitely patient with us. So
yeah, you still had approximately 40 days worth of average food, and you still had 10 days worth of really, really good food. The 2 GP.
Oh wow, so we're actually
So you're currently once you get back, you'll have about 240 days of the 8 silver piece food, because that's what you guys bought previously, and then 20 days. No, sorry. Yeah, 20 days. 10 days worth of really good food. Like I think it was 2 GP per person. And
and you said 240 days worth of silver.
Yes, you have 240. You have 240 of the above average.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't want to get lost in this minute.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's not get lost in the details. Just as we will get whatever we need.
Well, she'll give you an extra 2 days.
Yeah. Okay.
She's just going to assume 20 people, so she's going to get you an extra 40, in essence, 40 days.
Yes.
All right. So
and back to our documents. I guess I could run. Let me try to see if have you sent for someone who could translate?
Yes, I've sent for someone. We'll see. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, if you want to stick around here, and you can reminisce over old times or whatever. We can.
Yes, we'll reminisce.
And we convert ourselves over to Hylough and Iylis again, because the other 3 people that are trying to do stuff are still on the gondola, slowly heading across to Thomas.
I see.
It takes you about another 5. Hawkwind is literally like 5 warehouses down from Petchy.
Okay, cool.
Heading into Hawkwind's actually looks a little more upkept. And heading inside, you see a slightly better appointed office. Like, these guys look like they're actually probably doing pretty well. In this office is, let me find him. Hawkwind. In this office is a woman who is currently writing some stuff on what look to be some scrolls. She looks up as she comes in. And she says, "I'll be with you in a moment. Just finishing up some orders." And she finishes that off and rolls it up and puts it into you thought originally a drawer, but she doesn't pull it out, so there's probably just a cubby underneath there. And then she looks up and says, "My name is Alicia Hawkwind. What can I do for you, sir?"
So you're the woman in charge here.
Oh, I bear the name. I'm not necessarily the main owner of the company. My family owns it.
So
but I
work on the counter.
I work in this office, yes, or run this office, I should say.
Mm-hmm. I lean over the counter and said, "Listen, we were sent by. I still can't. I don't know why I can't remember his name.
It's okay, Andre."
And he indicated we're heading to Calastria, and he indicated that you might have something that needs to go there. You're willing to.
She kind of looks around a little bit and says, "Andre is maybe getting a little too forward with some of his dealings recently, but it's possible that might be true."
Well, we're heading that way. We got cargo that's heading to, and I use air quotes, Emmerdal.
Yeah,
and,
you're heading to Emmerdal, are you? Interesting. That does go near there, yes.
Yes. So we're just looking. We have room on our ship, and looking to make it more worth our while.
So
what you got?
It is possible that we might have some crates that need to go to Emmerdal. 50 of them, in fact. A variety of ore. We'd probably be willing to pay 100 gold to take it to Emmerdal.
And how much weight is that?
That is 2.5 tons. 100 pounds per crate, so 5,000 pounds. So about 2.5 tons.
100 gold. Let's see, that's That's better deal than we got from the other guys. Seems.
Well, let's see here, 2.5 tons times 2 cents, 2 copper times 650 is divided by 1. Yeah, that's a better deal than you were getting for the other ones.
Well, and do you have anybody that you're sending with
Yes,
it?
yes, we would be sending a man with it. Yes.
Okay. Well, we're leaving with the tide. If you want it on, we can. We're down on the dock 13.
Landing bay number 4.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I think that could be acceptable. I will have the merchant Jeff. His name is Jeff.
Jeff.
Spelled Geoff, but Jeff. I'll have him come down with the cargo. We'll make it there before tide. It's plenty of time.
And it's just minerals, rocks,
just ore. Mostly iron bars, some bauxite bars. It's been smelted. It's just in bar form.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Yes.
And then he will handle everything, and he knows what to do.
Yes.
In all circumstances.
He will know what to do when you get to Emmerdal.
Okay. Yes. Sounds good. All right.
Fair enough.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
shake hands. And
Hylough, and yes, I will have him come with
Fred.
With everything. Yes. Fred is such an odd name.
It's short for Frederick.
I mean, at least you could be Frank. Frank is at least still French. I'm just kidding.
This is short for Frederick. It's a new kind of name.
Gotcha. You guys head out. Did you want to try to go to the Vargarther?
I don't think so. I'm done wheeling and dealing here.
Okay. So you guys start heading back towards the docks, or towards the ship. Let us finally get back to Dresd'a, Praedyth, and Galsa. Galsa had gotten you guys a gondola. You guys got into the gondola and were being sort of moved around the eastern edge of Viaja. As you come around the eastern edge, you get a much better view of the city of Margali. And there are a couple of interesting points. There's a couple of points of interest to immediately jump out at you. Once you get sort of further around, and you're not sure how you missed this on the way in, because you should have seen it, because the GM didn't tell you. As soon as you come around there, you notice an island, not in the center, but off to one side, where there are these 3 massive spires of rock that basically shoot up into the sky that surround the island. They're actually coming out of the water. And they seem to have these large chains that are holding onto them and they go into the water itself. The spires, you can see on the spires a bunch of, even from this distance, you can see some buildings built along the edges of these spires at various heights on it. And you can see you can see black smoke and stuff coming out from some buildings that are on the island itself. If you're kind of gazing that for a bit, Galsa kind of looks in that direction and says, yes, the forge and the irons and the spires. Have you ever been to Margali before? Praedyth, you probably have been.
I don't think I have I?
Well, those spires are what is one of the biggest things that keep Margali in business. I do not know where they came from. Everyone keeps telling me that the wizards, the hobgoblin wizard, the Zendaki wizards, had brought them up from the ground themselves. But that seems kind of strange, because that would mean that they are at least another 50 feet under the water. Remember, the waters have risen since the Zendaki Empire was here. And I'm not sure that that's true, but I think instead that it's just some floating spires, floating rocks that were brought in by someone else and just anchored there. That's why they would need the the chains. Anyway, they're just being mined for various ores and things of that nature. That's why the foundry is there.
Could they be like a dock for an airship?
Galsa's like, I don't know if any airship I know of would want to dock there, but there is Ethereum that is being mined from them, yes.
I'm going to unchain them and watch them float away.
as you guys continue kind of going along, you also notice that there's sort of a central island. In the central island, you can see a keep on it. It's a rather well, think of it as more like a Buckingham Palace kind of keep. So it's not really a keep. It's more of a palace and that sort of stuff. She points out that that's the main island where the Duke lives. And you can see building up. It's on a set of hills that are on top of the island. You can see a lot of city built up to that. Like every single island you look at has basically city on it. And there are a good 8 islands that you can see from where you're currently at. So there are a lot of people living in this particular area. She also then you're being directed towards the Ateneo onto the Isle of Thomas. The Isle of Thomas is actually to the west of the main ruling island, the Duke's Island, whose name
I have a question.
Yeah.
So how big? Like I know it's a bunch of different islands, but like if we look at the city from like a bird's eye view, how big would it be?
So it is approximately 10 miles across for all the islands. Like it's set in the where the Snake River comes out. Here, let me bring this up. Be exactly correct, but that'll be good enough. So if I zoom you in, if you zoom in all the way to here, let me do this. That'll help zoom it in a little bit for you guys. So that's and now zoom in on that spot. Actually, this is not the best one to do. Let me switch it to Sea of Tears. This thing is still here. It's just all the way on the edge. So if I bring you here, same thing. So the city is not actually where it shows in this map. It's not right here. It's actually here. There's about a series of islands right here for where this river comes out. You can actually still see sort of a channel that comes through a little bit. Like I said, this used to be about 150 feet lower. And so the river used to come through here and sort of carved a channel through here as it was leaving out through the bay here. But all of this was low enough that basically it got flooded in with water. But that left a series of islands up here. So from one side, the islands are basically from about here all the way to about here. So it's not a huge, this is maybe about 10 miles across total.
Okay. I got you. Okay.
Let me see. I have started to map this. Let me see if I can find if I actually made a PN. Try to show it. Second. That will help a little bit.
But the islands are more like just old peaks of
they're old peaks of
covered.
Really more hills than mountains. But yes, they got covered up. Yep. The valley below it got kind of covered in water.
So this little bay isn't terribly deep.
No, I mean it's probably about. Well, it can be probably as far as 150 feet deep, but it's probably going to be more like on average probably 30 feet deep, 50 to 30 feet deep. It's not super deep. I did not. Doesn't look like. Like I just can't find it. So, oh wait, no, but that's because it's here. Sorry, looking in the wrong place. I did kind of make a PNG map. Make sure it looks right. Yeah. All right. So what you see there. Let me copy this real quick. It's going to be big. It might drop some people. 1 second. Come on. Oh my God. I have to make a scene real quick. I'll pass. Grid. I'm gonna make this gridless for now. All right, so if I activate this, yeah, give me a second. I kind of figured that might happen. There's no token vision, no restricted, all that sort of stuff. So let me save that. Now you should be able to see. Okay, so you're looking at one small corner. If you were to zoom out a little bit, this right here, this is where you're on in Viaha. So this is Viaha here. You guys come around the edge and you're seeing, so this main island here is the Duke's Island. This island here is Lawrence, which is the island with the spires around it. This is Esterio, where the naval island is.
Really cool.
I haven't named these three yet. And the place where you're going to is Ateneo, is on this small island here. That's where the Wizard Academy is. I don't know if I've zoomed you in enough.
Yeah, I see it.
So that's the main things. So the river comes down through here and into it, and kind of, these, like I said, it probably went around through this way and came down. Right?
Yep.
Okay, so you guys continue around and start heading through the channel between Esterio and Viaha. It doesn't take you it takes, like I said, it takes about 30 minutes to get to the island. You end up getting docked. And once as you're getting closer, you notice what looks to be an academy of some sort. I mean, it's clearly a school of learning. Galsa continues on with there's like 6 different colleges. There's a Bardic college here, actually, as well as several colleges related to wizardry. There is one related to sorcery. Actually, the College of Wizardry is actually split up into 11 different disciplines, and she continues to prattle on and off. She also mentions there's a military academy there, as well as some an archaeology school there as well, which she's done a few seminars and things at as well. But we're going to the library here called the Ateneo. You guys get off, she pays for it, and you guys start heading up the very slight rise to basically the whole island itself is not super large. It's like maybe a mile, probably not even that, maybe half a mile in length, and probably about an eighth of a mile in the narrow. And it's mostly all grassed over with, it's mostly basically, that's what I'm looking for. It is mostly parks with these buildings in them. So it's a very open air kind of campus kind of thing. But she starts heading directly up some stairs, across a main sort of square, and directly to past a couple of buildings, and directly to a building that you're pretty sure as you get closer is probably the library. Sorry, I'm starting to get a voice problem. Heading inside, you come up to basically a set of desks that sort of have a gate in between them. And as she closes up, she says, Gallia, and a woman looks over the edge and is like, "Oh, Galsa, it's good to see you again. Do you need some research or something?" Gallia says, "Oh, yes, we were here to look at a few things. My companions and I are. If you could just let us in and give us a page to work with." She's like, "Certainly. I will send. I need a name. I need a name real quick." And of course, it's not going to be quick. I will send you.
John, you're on mute.
I'll send you Benita. And you guys, she ushers you inside, and Galsa heads in, and you come into basically a good hall with a bunch of bookcases and things like that, a bunch of cubbies that have a ton of scrolls and things in there. And at that point, a page appears next to you guys, says, "My name is Benita. I will be helping you with any requests you might have." And Galsa says, "If you would please bring me the following 3 scrolls." And she she hands her a small list, and then she says, "Is there anything you guys need?"
If I remember correctly about my my dream,
Uh-huh.
the temple that I'm looking for was not Malazan in design, correct?
Well, it was hard to tell because it was mostly crumbled, but you don't think it was. You think it was some other design.
Anything you have on ancient forgotten gods, please?
That's pretty broad, sir. Could you narrow it a little bit?
Well, if you know anything of the goddess of fate, Aerra, that would be
I don't know
most
any
helpful.
goddess of fate, but I'll see what I can do for fate gods. Is that good enough?
Oh,
Right?
yes, that's
And you, miss? She's kind of asking you expectantly, Dresd'a. You might be muted.
What?
The Bonita asks if there was anything you wanted her to find for you.
I'm dreamwalking. Do you know anything about that?
Dreamwalking? I've never heard of such a thing. Is it related to divination or anything of that nature?
Just kind of like when your conscious is sort of relaxed, like when you're sleeping or when you're about to go to sleep. If you could join with somebody else's conscious.
I don't.
That's why.
Sorry, I don't know anything. I'm not even sure where to look. If you want to just browse, you may.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah.
All right.
Do you have any suggestions of where I might look?
I would suggest divination or wizardry or something, maybe. That's all I have. And at this point in time, we'll do some rolls. Praedyth and Dresd'a give me an investigation roll.
Investigation.
Ooh, this is
Nope.
good. Oh, Praedyth's roll is pretty good. Dresda's
Yeah,
roll not so
Praedyth
good.
was good.
So, Dresd'a, you start kind of wandering the stacks for like about 30 minutes, and you're not finding anything. In fact, you're struggling to find even the wizardry section. So we'll come back to you for that. Praedyth, you are brought several scrolls on various fate gods and goddesses. Some are more esoteric than others. Most of them, you immediately discount all the male fate gods. It's pretty much, and it's only like 3 scrolls, so it's not like you're throwing out a whole bunch of stuff there. And you start looking some of the other ones. Nothing in here really seems to scream Aerra to you or Zara to you. That being said, there are a few documents in there written about the Malaz gods of fate or goddesses of fate, because it's a duology. And they don't necessarily sound like Azara, but at least some of them do speak of some ruins and stuff like that. Not only in the Blustery Isles, but also in the Malaz Isles. So if I go back to the Sea of Tears here real quick, and we bring ourselves back out, the Blustery Isles are this right here. So this is the Blustery Isles, Calastria, and this area right here is the Blustery Isles. The Malaz Isles are these right here. So at least it's some ruins, some ruins to go with, but none of them really fits with Azara. At least for the Malaz gods, for you, Praedyth. Again, you've searched this place before for some of this stuff, so it's you know there's probably not going to be a lot, but with the 22 though, you do sort of remember some of the details of your vision, and you remember the 3 interlocking rings. So at that point in time, if you want to ask Bonita to look for something of that nature, she can. Otherwise, you can try to search the stacks yourself.
Yeah, he was going to shift focus to more of those 3 rings and the ancient ruins, and just more the 3 rings specifically, but more broadly ancient civilizations, just to see if he can try and fit Azra to a civilization.
Okay, so that is the first half an hour that you guys were first here. You guys have kind of caught up with where everybody else is at in time. So now both of you give me another investigation roll for your second half hour.
Come on, let's do better. No whammies, no whammies. Big numbers.
Okay.
All right.
Definitely
Got a
big
crit.
numbers.
All right, Dresd'a. Let's do you first, and then
Ooh, good
we'll do
19.
Praedyth. Dresd'a, you almost missed this by accident. You're just kind of walking through, and you're looking through some scrolls that are talking about various wizardry things. But you notice as you kind of are picking through them and pulling them out, and kind of, in some sense, just dropping them on the table or dropping them behind you. You finally get to the bottom of a series of scrolls, and you pick one up, and you're almost going to throw it away again. Throw it out when something catches your eye, because there's a preamble on this that you started reading through, that basically talks about the death of Karl Zahn. With the death of Karl Zahn, we do not believe that his research into the Dreamlands is valid, and as no one else has been able to confirm it. And that was what you read just before you were about to throw it out. So you wait a second, Dreamlands, maybe that's something similar to Dreamwalking. Not sure, but maybe it is. And so you start reading the actual scroll. And the scroll is written by a wizard named Karl Zahn. Karl, as you're reading through this, and there's some notes in the margins of various things written by various people, there's also the preamble. The preamble seems to talk about, again, that this research is unconfirmed and considered false, but that Karl Zahn was a wizard who lived in the Aerra Shires between 1263 and 1395. The treatise you're looking at is called On the Travels in the Dreamlands. And basically he talks about how to lucid dream, as he calls it. And he gives very explicit instructions on how one is to find the gates of deep slumber and thereby enter the Dreamlands. He describes the Dreamlands as a larger-than-life world where everything seems magical, but time passes differently there. However, as you kind of are skimming through this, he doesn't explain exactly how time passes differently. It's like he assumes the reader understands how it's different. He describes various experiments that he did to finally figure out how to get into the Dreamlands. One of them being that he basically would just stay awake as long as he possibly could until he could no longer keep himself from falling asleep. And that was when he did that experiment, that was the very first time he was actually able to find the gates of deep slumber. And he describes the gates of deep slumber as a long staircase in your dream that if you go down it, you will eventually come out into the Dreamlands. Zahn claimed that he even met various people he knew in the waking life, but when he would speak with them, none would remember meeting with him there in the Dreamlands. As I told you, the preamble to the scroll seems to discount the research, saying it's considered false. As you get to the back part of it, there are several notes written by other wizards who have all basically tried what was described as the technique. All of them, except for one, say basically it did not work for them. The one that does say it works for them is a wizard named Zahira Escriva. She provided more notes after her attempts, which seemed to indicate she had been to the Dreamlands. The notes are annotated with dates. The notes in all of the notes themselves are annotated with dates between 1294 to as recent as 1784, which is about 130 years ago. Zahira herself, the notes from her are dated 1673. And an interesting note there that you find, a note you find there that you find interesting, specifies that she kept seeing a small child just out of the corner of her eye as she walked the lands. But every time she turned towards it, the child was gone. Several other attempts past her notes have failed, and you feel this is probably why the scroll you just found was at the bottom of all this stuff. Easy to miss, probably hasn't been looked at in maybe 50 years, given given all that sort of stuff. But
Huh.
so this is probably the closest you've found about anything to do with dreamwalking. Talking about the dreamlands and potentially, finding the stairway in your dreams to get into those lands.
Can I look for any other stuff by Tarzan?
You mean Carl Zahn?
Yeah.
Tarzan? You can start looking for that. Praedyth, as you're looking around, a lot of the stuff that you're looking for talks about 3 eras of empires. The Malaz Empire, which you already know a little bit, a smattering about. There's not a lot known about it to begin with. And most of those ruins are found in the Sea of Tears itself. In fact, as far as you know, and as far as any information you find, all Malaz Empire ruins are found in the Sea of Tears. The furthest east that any of them are found is there is one known temple to be on to the east of Marabar. That's as far east as they've seen any ruins. There's another empire that there's some human ruins that have been found mostly on Kelvin that people are attributing to an ancient kingdom called the Erde, the Kingdom of Erde. Kingdom of Erda is probably the best way to put it. Most people believe that when the Zendaki Empire rose, that kingdom fell, and the remnants of that are basically the Shires of Erde. That's what they think. That's pretty much, and there's some evidence and records in the Shires of Erde to kind of back that up. The furthest, at its height, the Kingdom of Erda did reach to the west, and there is some ruins that reach all the way into the Sea of Tears there, but not very many. That one predates the Zendaki Empire, which the Zendaki Empire was the last major empire that is known of in the history. And that one reached all the way as far as Marabar to the west, but it was mostly to the east of here. Mostly as far north as it reached as far north as the central plains of Kelvin, and originated from Sirvine, which is basically where the Kingdom of Sirli is now. That empire doesn't seem to fit what you remember in your head. The Kingdom of Erd maybe a little bit does. It seems like at least some of the way they made some of those things sort of fits, but maybe not exactly. But with the 25, what does catch your eye and sort of fits with some of the stuff that you remember seeing is not an empire, but the Echinosians. The Echinosians have had a continuous culture for over 2,000 years. They've just been mostly fighting the demons to the north. So they've never really truly expanded until about 1,000 years ago. But it's very possible there is some musings and some archaeological documentation that you find that implies that maybe some of them left earlier, maybe 15 to 1,500 years ago during a schism, and their early temples sort of match in some ways the ruins that you saw in your vision.
Yeah, okay, that sounds. My next question was going to be if I thought that she would be a more kind of regional instead of empire spanning. To get the chronology of empires right, the Malazan was the oldest that we know of. Yeah. Okay.
Right. And again, it only as far as everybody can find, it only reached as far as about here. The Kingdom of Erd was mostly. Bring this up. We're gonna lose a little bit of fidelity, but we'll have more stuff here. The Kingdom of Erd mostly was all of Kelvin here, all the way down into here. And remember, this used to be land. They thought was part of this and into here as well, but from this direction. The Zendaki Empire was this island, and again, when it originally started, this was connected here, and was across the southern portion of Kelvin here, all the way out to here. So the only place where all three of those empires kind of would have potentially met they weren't necessarily contemporaries to each other. Some believe the Kingdom of Erd might have been around when the Malaz Empire was, but maybe not at its height. Only where that met is basically right around in here. Okay. But the Echinosians are, again, this is all old. The Echinosians come from these islands here, and this is where the demons come from. So for the most part,
Right.
they've fought demons for much of their history. But like I said, some archaeologists believe a few of them might have broken off much earlier than thought and headed south. And
Okay, so they did head into the Sea of
yeah,
Tears.
they headed. Well, they didn't head in at the time that they're thinking these guys broke off. The Sea of Tears was not the Sea of Tears; it was mostly land.
Right. Okay. And they basically just migrated south.
Yep.
Okay.
So, I mean, to give you sort of an idea, when the water was lower, the sea here, the Ferran Sea, really was a sea. It was still deep, a relatively deep sea. This part here was actually land. The wall is right here. Anything beyond the wall was mostly land, because the wall was relatively high up and kept any water that was in here from coming into this area. So this sea was basically mostly like this. And a little bit around here into the ocean here. But
so they would
most of this was connected.
they would have had to go kind of southeast.
Yeah,
'cause
they could have went here, they could have went here. But this was still an ocean.
Oh, was it connected here?
It wasn't connected, but it was definitely closer to each other, yes.
Okay.
Most of this up here is still deeper than the typical stuff. But this was connected here. And there was a spit of land, like this part was connected. This probably was connected, but via this route here. In fact, more than likely, now that I think about it, this area here was probably an inner sea when the water was lower.
This Diary Sea right here?
Yeah, the Diary Sea plus some of this stuff. Like it wouldn't have went this deep in, but it would have been an inner sea here. At some point, I'll eventually make a map that shows.
And the 15,000 years ago, 1,500 years ago, sorry.
Yep.
The Malaz Empire was extinct, or was
it was extinct?
already...
1,500 years ago was basically the early height of the Zendaki Empire. 1,000 years ago is when the water started rising.
Oh, okay. They're way older than I thought. All right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Malaz Empire is believed to have fallen about 5,000 years ago.
Oh, okay, yes.
So think of it this way: the Malaz Empire is approximately as old as the Egyptian Empire was to us.
Right.
Before the Roman wars.
If they were heading west, they would have ran into that.
Yep. Eventually, they would have ran into the Kingdom of Erd, probably.
Right. So I think they probably head southeast.
You mean southwest? Remember, west is
southwest. Yeah.
Left on the map. Yeah. So anyway, that's some information for you. Dresd'a, you were going to search for more stuff, correct? Was that correct, Dresd'a?
He's cleaning up dog pee at the moment. We're having a wonderful time.
Well, so about an hour after dawn, maybe an hour and a half after dawn, Marcus, about the time, after those guys had left, Aaron, you get some cargo received, which is somebody comes on board, or actually Pero, because Pero would be the one doing this. Pero shouts up and says, "Hey, I got a delivery for you guys, some food for journeys to the west." That's how he puts it. And he says, "I have 200 days worth of food." He basically
food aboard.
Right, so he starts bringing it aboard. It's water, it's foodstuffs, it's biscuits, that sort of stuff. It takes them maybe 15 minutes to get it on board, and then he's like, "Oh, I almost forgot." And they bring up a crate that's about, I don't know, maybe 6 feet long. And he's like, "Where do you want the ballista bolts?"
Where do we have them now? Just wherever
Probably
we
near
have
the ballista
them now.
would be my guess. But,
Yeah, probably there.
all right,
Then.
so he's like, "All right," and they take it up and set it near the ballista. And he says, "That's all I have for you now. Good journeys to you if I do not see you before you go. Although I'll probably be the pilot taking you out."
Thank you.
And they head off. About another 20 minutes after that, Marcus gets back. And then about 30 minutes after that, about the time we're currently at in the thing, Pero comes back and says, "More food. I guess Marcus needs lots of food on his journeys." And
I get very hungry. Sea air, you know.
And they bring that up and stow it as well.
So, and Aaron, we have 2 more passengers, who are going to be taking that empty room, where I'll go down and hang, take one of the crew and hang 2 hammocks.
All right.
As you guys are talking to him, Hylough and Iylis, you guys actually overhear 2 more passengers as you come up the gangplank, right before they start to head towards the stairs leading down into the hold.
We overhear 2 more passengers.
Yeah, you overhear Marcus mentioning 2 more passengers.
Oh yeah. Should we tell them about the other one?
Well, they're going to be with the crew. It doesn't really matter. The ones that were. Or
Yeah, but
merchant
it
passengers.
matters for food.
He meant the merchants that are coming with their cargo. This is talking about.
Yeah.
I know. You just want to know if we have enough food?
Yeah, I want to check with Marcus.
Okay. Well, yeah, we should. Yeah.
I'm gonna go over to him. Hey, yo,
Yes.
Marcus. We got some cargo, lots of
Excellent.
cargo coming. But it also comes
anything to worry about or anything.
It also comes with an extra passenger
Each.
2
extra passengers.
1 extra passenger.
passengers? Oh,
2
okay,
extra
yeah.
passengers.
I really did think it was just 1.
It's 2 different companies, so 2 different.
Two different
guys.
companies.
Oh, true. Oh, yeah.
Where are we going to put them, and what about food? I think we have enough. Doing a mental calculations.
We'll put them just kind of with the crew.
They can ride with the crew.
They can sleep on the floor if they really have to.
We're getting 300 gold to take this cargo to Emmerdal.
Quote unquote.
But much less if we don't feed them. But
nudge.
Fortunately, we have food. Yeah, we're not going to Emmerdal.
Yeah, we'll try to focus on getting less
going to Emmerdal.
Passengers next time and more cargo. I think that will be.
True is kind of listening to you guys, and she says, "I suspect maybe you might want to, create some passenger cabins for next time."
Yes, that too.
We're going to do the passenger thing.
Like if we're going to do passengers more, we need more.
That's what she says. And just chuckles.
Space. Yeah,
she just chuckles.
And we need for this cargo, we need to balance it out to make it, most stable and sort of ride better at sea. Do we have anyone who would be used to like?
Well, you have only about 15 tons coming, so it's not a ton.
It's not awful.
You guys can,
it is a ton.
It is a ton.
It is several tons.
But you can hold 100 tons. So this is not going to be.
Well, just to balance it out, so we'll keep.
Oh yeah, you can. I mean, just saying that. Given what it is, it's not like you're going to be a massive. This is not. You're not filling your hold.
So what is our cargo? What are we getting?
We're getting.
Hylough forgot.
We're getting gunpowder. Boom, boom.
Lots of gunpowder.
Ale,
powder,
some glassware, and some ore that's refined iron and bauxite.
Nicely done.
How much gunpowder?
And
where are we going to store it?
30 barrels.
We're near flamed.
Are we intending to be near flames?
Well,
in the
if
water?
we get attacked, we have a tendency to.
Well, we'll just keep them in the middle of the ship so that if it
explodes, it'll just take out the entire ship.
Yeah, exactly.
We just gotta stay away from the trouble.
Put it all in the crow's nest.
When's the last time we've gotten in trouble?
Yeah.
Do we have anything below the water line? What's the safest point in our ship other than the bilge, which would get it wet? So,
no, the lower cargo hold is below the water line.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's put it there. So hopefully we wouldn't get shot there.
That's why there's no portholes.
Yeah. Okay. But that's not just where we put our passengers, is it?
Well,
no, that's a lower.
That's
cargo.
where you just talked about putting somebody. Yes. This level right here. Level right here is below the water line.
Right.
You promised Rutillo this room.
Right.
Yeah.
Where the old room was.
Yeah, and maybe he gets half of that room. Who knows?
Well,
It'll be a
No.
little cozier.
You 15 tons is not going to fill up this at all.
Okay,
Like,
gotcha.
Most of this stuff goes away. You've already delivered this. You delivered this. This right here is what's left on right now. The only thing you have left are these 3 things because that's from Beanbag.
Right.
So you have plenty of room.
Okay.
Your ship is ready.
Plenty of room.
As long as we put it someplace where it's not directly in, the line of fire automatically.
No,
I still worry about it.
But
yeah, well,
but
below
the
water line is a lot better, less of a target.
What's the difference between 2 barrels of gunpowder and 30 barrels of gunpowder? You've already got.
We die faster.
You already got 2 barrels of gunpowder, and if they explode, they're going to take out the portion of your ship where the cannons are anyway.
Right, but
That's
30
true.
barrels of gunpowder, we go to the bottom.
Oh, you go to the bottom with just 2 if they explode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 would take out the whole ship.
Yeah, a barrel of gunpowder is 100 pounds of gunpowder.
Large enough hole.
100 pounds of gunpowder, dude.
Yeah, why do we get gun? Maybe we should really ballistics.
Why are we dealing in explosives?
We can just be a passive like Greenpeace ship that doesn't attract anybody.
No. To be fair, more than likely the barrels of gunpowder you have for the cannons are the smaller half barrels, so they're probably only like 30 pounds, but that's still a lot of gunpowder.
Yeah,
because remember, you got to pack about an 8-pound charge just to fire one of these cannons, just to fire the cannonball. Like, it's not a small amount of gunpowder to fire these things because they go like 300 yards.
But we're a pretty big ship. I would think 2 barrels may not.
But remember, a barrel exploding. A barrel exploding.
An entire barrel exploding. Imagine just 1 barrel.
Yeah.
All I know is 30 barrels and we're going to the bottom, regardless. There's no hope there.
Yeah,
1 barrel and we
True just chuckles a little bit and says, Marcus, you overthink these things too much.
yes, I do.
Thanks, true.
First, you got to get into the water. You got to get the fire into the hold, which is below the water, and then it's got to actually get into the barrel. The barrel, which is also sealed. I think we're probably fine, unless you're going to start opening up the barrels.
And then it has to spark something in the barrel to actually set it off.
Yeah, I mean, we're not in a land of magic where fireballs go off all the time or anything.
A fireball isn't necessarily going to cause a barrel of gunpowder to explode.
Right.
It still has to get through the barrel into the gunpowder.
Okay. I'll just remember that when we get hit and the barrels explode. So.
Yeah, and True says, I think you're overthinking it.
Probably. All right, so let's go hang up these hammocks.
Outrun them. We're pretty good at that.
What was that, Marcus?
I'm going to go take down and go hang the hammocks for the...
Okay, so you guys start heading down doing that. Let's turn back to the library. Dresd'a, were you going to look for some more stuff?
Did I find anything on Carlsbad?
No, that's where. So give me an investigation check. Sorry, that's what I was asking. Is that what you were doing next? Sorry, I remembered you were going to do some more searching. I just couldn't remember for what. Looking around for Carlsbad, you don't. It seems like this is the only. Like you spent another half an hour, and this seems like it's the only paper of any sort in this library from him. But I mean, it's a big library, and you only have a limited amount of time. At about that time, Galsa's like, Dresd'a, come look. Here's the research I wanted to show you.
Okay. All right.
She has 3 scrolls and a book. As she opens up the first one, you see that the title of it is The Cultural Significance of the Barrera Isle Ruins. And she she kind of gives you an overview of it. She says, this is one of my first works. It is written about the possibility of a sudden end to the empire. This is the beginning of my theory of how this all might have happened. We discovered a room in the ruins on the Barrera Island that had a relatively complete set of stone tablets. Once we were able to translate them, the tablets seemed to show a historical record of the local governors. the names of the various governors of who was ruling this particular place. They suddenly stopped about 5,000 years ago by the reckoning that I had been able to do at the time. I interpreted this as a sudden ending of the empire. Since I had been recently working on the historical records of the Zendaki Empire, the theory seems to fit the differences between the two empires. The Zendaki Empire gradually faded away, and in fact, there are still hobgoblins here in the city. So remnants of that are still around here, and much of their infrastructure in various places, like the aqueducts and things like that, still exist. As opposed to the Malazan Empire, where much of their stuff is in ruin and seems to have collapsed. She kind of puts that one to the side, and she pulls up the next one, and she says, "This one was a later work, about 25 years later. This is called a reinterpretation of the. You see the title is the reinterpretation of the Battle of Kolhuaca." She goes on and says, "I decided to go relook at with my theory in hand. I decided to go relook at the remnants of the battle that we discovered in the massive ruins of Kolhuacan. I believe the battle might have been between multiple tribes of Malaz, as opposed to the previous people who had went through it. They thought it was between the Malaz and some strange multi-armed creatures. After re-examining the site as much as I could, given that many of the artifacts and weaponry and things had been removed either from previous archaeologists or from grave robbers, I was able to show through the evidence that I did found that many of the wounds found on the bones could only be traced to Malaz weapons. Nothing from any other kind of weapon type or even creatures. She also, in the paper, she points out the extinct offshoot of the Naga, the Yuan Ti. They had multiple arms and could again explain the multi-armed skeletal remains that were found there." That was her second scroll. The third scroll here was done about 40 years after that. So you're now starting to get an idea of how old Galsa is. The first scroll was written in 1803. This third one she's showing you was written in 1869. She says, "This is the linchpin of my work. This particular one discusses the harvest records found at the ziggurat on the island of Cuatla. Man, Mayan language is pretty difficult to pronounce. The records showed a distinct drop in the size and quality of the harvest leading up to about 5,000 years ago. I posited that a change in weather patterns caused a severe drought about a decade before the collapse of the empire, and these records, as well as evidence of canals found near the ruins, imply the Malaz were doing everything they could to keep the food growing." And then she points to the book. This is my actual, the entire book that I've written only about 12 years ago. The title of the book is The Cataclysm Collapse of the Malaz Empire. And it collects basically 100 years worth of research from Galsa and others to provide a theory of the collapse of the Malaz Empire. Their theory is after several years of drought destabilized the empire, the Malaz fractured into many tribes fighting one another. One of these tribes, the Yuan Ti, summoned forth demons which decimated the region before they were destroyed or driven to the Sithra Rift. The loss of so many people from famine and war destroyed the empire over the course of a single generation and sent the Malaz back to a primitive state. That is the gist of their theory of what has happened. So you now have an idea of what Galsa has done and what she's an expert of.
Okay.
Any of you guys searching for anything else? You have about two and a half hours before you would need to leave with the tide, which means you have about an hour and a half or so before you'd have to leave the library.
Can you remind me of the name of that group of people again?
The Echinosians?
Echinosians.
As far as you were able to find, it seemed there might have been a schism between some of the Echinosians and some of them left, is the current theory.
He wants to look into more about Echinosian culture, especially Echinosian culture from around that time period.
Okay.
Of the split.
Give me another investigation check. Dresd'a, do you have anything you want to search for?
The only other thing I could think of would be to see if there are any references to the Eternal Eye or some description of something like it.
Give me a investigation check for that. Okay. We'll start with Dresd'a. Dresd'a, you searching around the library for anything that you hear about trying to find something about the Eternal Eye. And again, you find kind of under some dusty other scrolls, you find a single scroll. Yeah, you got the exact DC that you needed. Written by a wizard named Basir. That's the only name he's got, Basir. And it describes a milky white orb, which he called the Eye of Eternity. For when he would gaze upon it, he could scry upon any place and any time. The notes start off as a series of experiments on and with the orb, describing his process of initially scrying on various places around his tower, and then realizing he was initially seeing these areas at different times of the day, especially when he saw himself in one of them sleeping by his fire. The notes progress to what seems like more and more risky tests where Basir looks at other places and other times, especially times in the future. As the end of the notes are reached, it seems as though Basir has potentially lost a bit of his grip on his sanity as he becomes more philosopher instead of wizard. He wonders in his notes that if everything is preordained, as every time he has looked at the near future it has come to pass, then what is the point of living? The notes end with the final passage, "The Eye of Eternity has shown me a place unbidden, a vaulted chamber with the central days. 3 statues stand around the edge of the days in a triangle. One is a little girl, one is a woman, and one is an old crone. Each statue has its hand outstretched and cupped, as if seeking a gift or an offering of some sort. As I watched, a small boy and a golden woman climbed the stairs. The golden woman kneeled in the center of the days, while the small boy placed an orb in each of the hands. As an orb was placed in each hand, the hand closed and the statue's arm dropped to its side, its hood falling back, revealing a masked face. As the small boy placed the final orb in the hand of the old crone, I realized the boy was a gnome, as he fled to the steps leading up to the days. The masked face glowed brighter and brighter until beams of white light flashed from the masks and struck the golden woman, bathing her in a bright light as the vision faded. I do not know what to make of this vision, whether it is past, present, or future, but I feel I must seek out the chamber to understand its meaning."
Did it give any clues about where he was looking?
No, he said no, not in this particular. That literally is the last note of the entire scroll.
Okay.
You wish you can try to look for more information about it. Praedyth,
Yeah.
or at least more information about Basir, I should say, is probably the better way to put it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where did he end up?
Okay.
Like going and that kind of thing.
Give me another investigation check for that. Praedyth, you looked around quite a bit, and all you can find about the Echinosian stuff of that time is a lot of the records are lost due to the battles they had with demons and that sort of thing. So it's hard to say, but what you do see is that a lot of the temples and stuff at that time were built with Greek columns is the word I'm thinking of. So think of the Parthenon and that sort of stuff. I can't remember the exact name of the column type that is.
And does that jive with my vision?
It does somewhat. What you saw is some columns that have fallen that sort of have that similar style.
Okay. He wants to shift focus then to any archaeological record of the time, about around 1500 years ago, of the Sea of Tears, like the kind of Malazan Isles type place where he thinks they probably went.
All right, so give me another investigation check, and you guys will be about 2 hours from your time. I'll come back to you two in 1 second. About this time, you guys back at the ship, the first of the cargo shows up and starts getting loaded, along with the guy who names himself as Guido. Guido comes on board, and so you realize this is the Hawkwind stuff. Guido is like, yes, here's my cargo. We are going to Emerald, correct?
That's right.
Hey, good.
Wink-
Where am
wink
I
and a
supposed to
nudge.
stay for this journey?
You're gonna stay with the crew down. I show him.
He looks a little crestfallen about it, but he's like, fair enough. And you take him down to show them that. It takes them about an hour to get this stuff on, because it's 50 crates of each crate is about 100 pounds, and so it just takes a bit of time to get it on there. While that is happening, the next stuff shows up, so you kind of have a little bit of a logjam right now with cargo being placed on. Back at the thing, Dresd'a, you would think an 8 would be a terrible thing, but it turns out Basir was actually one of the faculty here at the academy, and you were able to find a yearbook called the Eldritch Academy 1725 yearbook. So this is almost 200 years ago now. As you find his obituary in there as an honored faculty. The obituary says, Wizard Basir Alsace, 1467 to 1723. Basir Alsace was declared deceased after the ship he was taking to Emerdal was found destroyed near the Barrera Island in the wall. Basir Alsace was known for his brilliant work in divination magics. His research in scrying advanced the field by leaps and bounds. Several of Basir's students went on to esteemed positions at the Elastrian, the Academia, and other institutions of higher learning. In his later years, Basir had become more reclusive as he focused on his research. Basir shall be missed. Written in hand in the margin near the obituary is, the daft old man isn't going to be risked. Him and his damnable stone, I have eternity my ass, were like Basir's bane. Good riddance to the old bastard, I say.
Huh. So Emerdal, he was on a ship on his way to Emerdal.
Mm-hmm. But it says that it was found destroyed near the Barrera Island in the wall.
Barrera Island. Do we know where that is?
You don't know, but you have some maps back at the ship. You might be able to find it, or you could look for some maps here in the.
Yeah, I kind of like to have an idea where it's at.
Right. So you go and
assumed he might be carrying that stone with him when he crashed.
Looking around in the Sea of Tears map, the Isle of Barrera is this large island here.
That large island.
Right here.
Okay. Near Calastria.
Yep. Or near the Blustry Isles, yes. On the way to the Blustry Isles. Also,
it's part of the wall.
It's part of the wall, yes. You actually do have it's on your map if she were to ask about it. But also that rings the bell that remember there was a series of ruins there that was part of Galsa's first paper. Remember, her first paper was the cultural significance of the Barrera Isle ruins. So clearly there's some ruins on that island.
Huh.
But it seems like he was headed towards Emerdal based on the obituary.
Did they ever recover his body?
You don't know, not based on that particular thing. It doesn't say. It says, I will remind you that it does say, was declared deceased. So that kind of implies maybe they didn't find his body.
Yeah, so I got some crazy wild imagination that he's still there. Maybe he found something that kept him alive all these years.
Praedyth, did you do another investigation?
Yes, it's under Dresd'a.
Okay. This was for the trying to figure out maybe where the guys might have went.
Yes.
All right, so let me find something real quick. Looking around, you do find some small amount of history for Calastria. See if I can. What the heck? Not. It's. There is some discussion. That's just not the right document. That's why. It's this document. There we go. You do discover some stuff in a treatise on the history of Calastria itself. Calastria, it was only recently renamed Calastria. In 1285, it was named. Sorry, in. It was only recently renamed Calastria. The original name that they were able to, they surmised, Calastria has had many names over the years. And at one point, Calastria was a protectorate of Echinos. About maybe 500-600 years ago, something like that. But there are some evidence of in some of the archaeological digs and ruins around there of Echinosians living in the area where Calastria is pre Calastria is credited with being founded by a man named Castello, Nicodemo Castello. He was a Margali nobleman who had early on in the initial trading between the initial shipping and things like that of the Sea of Tears, he had come to there and found some natives and basically took them under control. Think of him as Columbus. So in some ways, and so he took over this place, built himself up, found a bunch of things like that. But there are some evidence of some ruins around Calastria that have been discovered in the last 50, 60 years of Echinosian style ruins that are built on top of Malaz ruins. So most people originally thought that those ruins belonged to when the Echinosians ran the city like about 600 years ago or something like that. I don't have an exact date here. I'm sorry. Actually, I do have an exact date because I'm being dumb. I just have to go to the side here. I can provide you with some stuff here, but yeah. So about actually about 1400 years ago, 1300 years ago, Castello was taken over by the Echinosians. So most people thought it was from that, but somebody was able to prove that some of the ruins were even older than that dated back even further. So There we go.
So his theory right now is that they went down towards Calastria and took over kind of residents of ancient Malazan sites. Because he thinks that if they tried to go east, they would have, one, had to have a boat to make that little jump between the two, and eventually they would have run into the Zendaki Empire, right?
The Kingdom of
Ur. They went too far.
The Kingdom of Ur.
Oh, the king.
Because the Zendaki Empire would have been about 1,000, or been about 500 years later.
Oh, okay. So Malazan Empire fell 5,000 years ago. You said Urdu Kingdom
was probably about 2,500 years ago, is the guess.
Right.
And these guys, some of these ruins that they're talking about are currently being guessed at about 2,000 years ago, something like that. That's their current guess.
But yeah, because he thinks that they would have run into the Kingdom of Urdu, and that would have discouraged them from heading that direction.
Yep, possibly. You guys have been looking around. It's now, you guys have about an hour and a half before you need to, the ship set sail if you were to make the tide.
I'm applying the slip tar, by the way.
You want to apply the slip tar?
Yeah.
Is that a captain's order? Is everybody agreeing with that? I'm asking.
Sure.
I mean, why not?
Okay, so you guys want... Go ahead.
Not a very captain thing to say.
Well, it only lasts for how long? It lasts
1 day,
for
24 hours. You have 2 applications left.
How long does it take to get to Calastrian?
6 days.
6 days.
Yeah, but don't you want to get away from the place we saw the pirates at the
and that
fastest?
is valid.
Fair enough.
So,
Well, hold on. To be completely upfront here, it should have taken you guys 4 days to get here previously, and I only had it take you 2. So it's going to take you 3 days to get. It's going to take you 2 days just to get to where you saw the.
so it'll be worn off by the time we get there,
Yes.
is what you're saying?
Yes. Correct. Just to get to Ventimar is 210 miles. That's a day and a half, and that's going where Vensmar is. So that's going from here. Sorry, going from here to here is a day and a half. Actually, almost 2 days. A day and 3/4 actually. So going from here up to here is about 2 to 3 days, and then it's about 3 days to get all the way. That's probably about 2.5 days to get to here. Something like that.
So should we save it until we know we're going to need it? As far as like if we're about to go out to a battle, we apply it at the harbor that day, or we know we're going to do a smuggling run or something. We can certainly apply it.
No, I thought it was.
Save it for
I just
now.
forgot
I
that
know,
the
that's-
distance changed.
No, it changed.
The
so
distance
it's-
didn't really change. It's just I misread the distance. So that's all.
Okay, I want to apply it then.
Okay. About this point,
And does,
your guys the other one set of cargo is in? It's now starting. They're starting to load the second set of cargo.
I will give the gems to our artificer friend.
You
I'll
find
remember to do
Beanbeck.
that.
He's been kind of
Beanbeck
doing some
and-
stuff in the quarters, and he looks at you. He's like, "Oh, so you want me to try it, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll head up there now. I got nothing better to do." And he heads up there, and he takes a satchel with him, and heads up there and takes the gems. He's looking. Actually, these are pretty good. He's looking at him and like, it's like they were made for some kind of cutting machine. Actually. Huh, well,
No.
whatever. They'll work
Fell off a
perfect.
truck.
And he heads
Fell
up.
off a wagon.
He heads up to there, and you see him start looking at the gems, which are huge in his hands, and then start looking over the ballista. He barely gets up to the bottom edge of the ballista, so he starts looking at the bottom and starts doing stuff. And he takes out a tool and starts measuring some things, and he gets to work on some stuff.
Okay. And I'll let Aaron know about our passengers that are coming in. And then was Sarah's? When was the person who sent to translate the documents? Did he ever come while I was there?
I forgot you were staying there for a while.
that?
No, I forgot that you were staying there for a bit. He hadn't shown up by the time you had left. I mean, you commiserated
Okay.
for a bit, but you didn't. I mean, at a certain point, there's only so much to talk about, and you're like,
Yeah.
I want to get back and deal with some other things. But he hadn't shown up by the time you had left.
I guess I'll go
But you
back.
can go back and check if you want.
check and get the
Yeah.
documents.
So you're heading back. You're heading to there. Back at the library. Are you guys looking at anything else? Literally, if you want to make it to the ship, you probably need to stop looking here in the next half hour.
So that never-ending storm in here.
Yeah, that's technically
How
right
long?
here.
So would it have been that it's still going back when they were migrating south, or is that
You don't know.
more recent?
You don't know, and you haven't really been able to find anything about that particular storm. You haven't really been looking for it, but you haven't found anything about it.
That's what he wants to look for this next half hour.
All right. So give me one more investigation check. Dresd'a, did you want to do any more investigating, or are you all set?
No, but I think I'll talk to what's her face about her early research of those Isles.
Okay. Praedyth, looking around, trying to find any more information about that. All the data you can find about that particular storm seems to imply it's been there forever.
Okay, so we would have had to encounter that.
But I mean, the earliest known
Right.
recording you have is about 2,000 years ago.
Which is around the time that those ruins are. dated
Approximately,
to,
yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I guess if we have to get back to the ship, he'll be done.
Well, I mean, the ship is supposed to. The tide is supposed to leave at 11:30. It is currently 10:30.
Yeah.
Back at the ship, real quick. Two people show up at the gangplank with a couple of trunks. They're wearing some cloaks, and a female voice shouts up, "Essenza dell'Oceano." Decent name for a ship. My name is Anita Fare. This is my companion Zoe Hue. Zoe Hue, sorry, Zoe. Can we come aboard? We are supposedly booked passage.
Yeah, I'll greet them and
yeah. So they're
take them down to their.
Yeah, so they count them up. They look like this. I actually have pictures for them. Aha.
Oh.
Character artwork. This is Anita Fare. Clearly very Searly. Tends to have the hood up most of the time. I just don't have it on the picture because you do have a good idea of what she looks like. And then this one is this is Zoe Hue or Howe, sorry. What's your passive perception, Hylough?
I think it's 10.
Okay. As they come aboard, Anita says, gives you a small bag and says, "This is a agreed upon sum. Figure we just pay for it now and be done with that, and don't have to worry about it anymore." And you start leading them down into the accommodations. They're kind of pulling the trunk with them. You hear True say, "Rat, Perry, got some stuff for you to do." And they kind of look at each other and like, "You want us to?" She's like, "Uh-huh." And so they start carrying one of the trunks. She says, "You two, don't worry about the trunks. We'll get it down there for you. Don't worry. We might have to store it in a particular area since you're going to be in the main area with the rest of the crew, but we'll get it all straightened out." And so you lead them down into the main area. They kind of look around. They look a little like as you start to string up a couple more hammocks for them in the area down below. But they seem like, while they're a little you can tell they're a little bit annoyed about it. They don't seem too terrible about it. Yeah, that's those two.
Cool.
Praedyth and Dresd'a asking Gulsa about her early work. You get basically the same thing as what I told you before. There are ruins there, is what she says. Actually, a ziggurat was found there. Mostly partially submerged in the water, so it's just off the coast of the Barrera Island. She says that part of, but the chamber which she found her work in was actually you had to go through some of the water into another chamber, and that chamber actually basically was an air pocket, and that's what they worked in. But the rest of the ruins she didn't do much with, just because her work didn't really matter or didn't really rely on some of that sort of stuff. Those of us with the scientific method would say, why the hell wouldn't you look at the rest of the damn thing to make sure that everything else corroborates your stuff? But whatever. But she didn't. She took what she was like, okay, this is what I need, and moved on.
Did you ever come across any shipwrecks? Like, I read about this one famous wizard.
She says, now that you mention it, there is a shipwreck not too far off of the southern end of the island, yes. I don't know about any famous wizard or anything like that, but there is a shipwreck off.
So, I don't know, can I have her point it out on a map or something?
I mean, she doesn't know exactly where it is. She just says it's off the southern end of the island. That's all she knows.
It's pretty obvious.
Well, I mean, 100 years ago it was submerged, partially submerged, but I don't know what has happened in the last 100 years. Remember, she did this in 1803. It's currently 1910. So
okay.
She's a gnome. 100 years is, only about half of her life. So,
all right.
You actually also have another time capsule with you with Praedyth. Unfortunately, Praedyth is at the whims of what the DM knows, and the DM doesn't always know what Praedyth might know because he hasn't come up with it yet.
Okay. All right, well, we're getting close to time. We need to head back to the ship.
You guys head. She's like, all right. You see, Galsa put a few scrolls that she had been doing stuff with back. Thanks, Bonita, saying thank you very much. You see a little flash of gold go change hands there. and also a little bit of what you think is silver, but then realize that it's a little bit darker colored than that. And then you guys head out through what basically the barricade, the gate portion, past Gallia's station, and Galsa says, "Goodbye. Thank you again. Wonderful library you got here. Great for research." And you guys head out the door. And a few minutes later, on a gondola heading back towards Viaja and the docks. About 11 a.m., a little before 11 a.m., the rest of the cargo is in. You guys have all your cargo in. And a little bit after that, Rutillo shows up. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry, back up. Marcus, you make it to the Beholder's Blind Eye.
Okay.
Yeah, let me back up to there. Getting there, you head inside, and Sarah is talking with a guy. And he's giving her sort of a rundown of some stuff. You overhear some things like, "Yeah, I mean, it's basically in Draconic. I mean, but it doesn't make any sense to me." And she says, "What do you mean it doesn't make any sense?" Well, he reads her some passages and things like that. And she goes, "You're right. It doesn't really make any sense, but I mean, it seems like thieves can't, doesn't it?" And he's like, I don't know. Thieves can't." She's like, "Well, it kind of seems like, but I mean, it's sort of the same kind of stuff, right?" And he's like, "I don't know." And but he kind of talks again, and you overhear him say another set of passages, and it does seem like thieves can't to you in some ways. It's sort of talking about different. It's sort of conversational in many ways, but the what it talks about and what it goes through is sort of nonsensical to you. Like anybody who would be following the conversation would be like, "Oh, hey, yeah, we're talking about the roses that were in the garden by the wizard's tower. They were such wonderfully red roses." You know, it's that style of conversation that just doesn't make any sense, because why would two people in a tavern talk about roses by a wizard's tower? It's kind of got that same sort of style.
It has to have a secret meeting or some other meeting.
Yeah. So given that, give me an insight check.
Okay. Hope. Okay. Investigation would have been better.
Insight of 11. Let's see. Did I have
not the worst, not the best?
No, not the worst. You've had worse before.
Oh yeah, quite often.
That's good enough. It dawns on you that, do thieves have to be the only one who have a thieves' cant? Maybe other professions have some kind of secret language to talk with each other.
Like a mage can't, especially since mages are being hunted. It does have the documents, the diagrams look magical.
Mm-hmm. But the guy sitting in front of you, as you learn more and more about it, at least is some kind of wizard, probably a hedge wizard. Like, he doesn't look like the typical wizard you've met before. This guy doesn't seem that way. But he clearly could read the language, and it talks about it being draconic, and he agrees with you as you kind of point out that they're magical and stuff like that. Yeah, these are definitely diagrams of sort of magical origin, or at least they're attempting to express something, some kind of magical design or magical formula of some sort.
Can you tell what they're attempting, or like, is there something you?
No, I mean, he kind of points at one of the diagrams, and he's like, "This sort of implies some kind of wave or something like that. Like if I had seen this in a spell, in a scroll for a spell, I would assume it's something that's going to push something out from me. But I mean, I don't know what. That's all kind of in the text, and it doesn't make any sense.
Push something out,
like fire, ice, force. I don't know, something like that. That's what I would expect from this kind of diagram. Like, more than likely, this text is telling me something about how this diagram and the stuff around it all translate into something I can do, I assume.
Could it be building a weapon?
Maybe.
Or a portal?
Maybe, it's possible. I don't think it's a portal. This is more about some kind of wave of energy of some sort. is my guess. Based on the diagram, that's what he's guessing. To be clear,
Okay.
he doesn't understand he can read the language.
It just doesn't make sense.
He gives you what it says. It just doesn't make sense to either of you. Even if it was in Thieves' Cant, it doesn't make sense to you. But maybe it's just way some other, like I said, some other profession talks.
Maybe an artificer, perhaps. Speaking of which, we have one on our ship.
Possible. The one thing he does though is he does say, the only thing I am pretty sure about, based on all of this is the work of a man named Daxios. And Sarah says, why didn't you tell me that before? It's like, well, you didn't ask me who wrote it. You just asked me what I was saying. It's like, but I'm pretty sure this like that's the only thing that is very formal in this whole thing. That is the name Daxios right there.
Is Daxios still alive? Is he who is this Daxios?
I've never heard of Daxios. No.
Oh, okay. He's not.
I don't know who it is.
Okay. Well, thank you. That gives us more to go on, and it's gonna work at me. It's gonna be in the back of my brain. Something. Are there any types of patterns that I can figure out? Is the insight for the patterns, or
no? The insight was to figure out that it was probably some kind of other form of Thieves' Cant, like other profession can.
Can I look at like words that seem to be emphasized or some type of pattern?
Nope. No, okay. That's not going to work for you.
Not going to work.
Unfortunately.
Okay. Well, after he leaves, I guess.
Yeah, he leaves after you.
Okay.
After that.
So, based on this, Darius, did you know Darius? Did Sarah act like she knew him, or she just say,
"No, she
didn't tell me that"?
Okay. No, she literally said, "You didn't tell me you had found a name." That's all she says. It's like, I don't know what She's like, I don't know what Daxios. Sorry.
Is it Daxios or Darius?
Daxios.
Okay, I can't read my own typing.
Daxios. Daxios.
Ios.
Yep.
Well, I'm guessing that he was the person.
I will say that she says the name. She says the name sounds Echinosian. So I mean,
and it was an Echinosian we captured, right?
You're the pretty sure the guy that. Well, again, you saw a very brief look of the guy because you guys didn't get him. Other people did. But you do remember them saying, people saying, "Hey, that guy that as I point him out as they're taking him below decks, yeah, he's the guy that was throwing people around with some strange device and flattening them against the walls and stuff like that." That was something that people told you last time or after the battle.
The decorations in his room or what he is traveling. Would it be more? I could see where from the world he was from. Did he favor anything?
No. Remember, he was in the room that you're about to put.
He was in the cabin, right?
No, he was in the room that you were about to put Rutullo in. The room that had no portholes.
Right.
When you got there, when you guys got the ship, there was damage there because that is where the one guy bombed with some explosives, and that's the only reason. That's the only reason why you found the papers in the first place, because the secret compartment they were in had been slightly broken by the blast.
Okay,
but there was nothing really else. Like there are other papers and stuff scattered around that had been burned and stuff like that. You really couldn't read much of them.
Okay. Well, I'm guessing this is a weapon, plans for a weapon, and based on he was using some device, the crew said, to defend himself from Mad Dog. So I'm guessing Mad Dog's using him to make a new weapon of energy?
Maybe.
And these documents might be...
That would be concerning if it's the case, because... If
he wants to take over the council and the...
Yeah. Yep, and if what Jorge says is true, then like there's some kind of wave energy thing here. So, like if you could add something like that to a ship that could send a blast out or something like that, that'd be pretty nasty.
Yes. Did he make a doc? Did he translate into a document, or did he do it?
No, he was just manually saying
telling
stuff. Yeah, because
Okay.
it sounds like he only got there maybe 30 minutes ago and just was rattling it off to her.
Well, you've given us more to concern myself with. Parents, just shaking my head. I will. We do have an artificer
Children,
on.
just shaking your head.
Artificer on board our ship right now. So
Well, you might want to see if he can read it.
I
Maybe
will
there
see
is
if
some.
he can make.
Maybe there's some secret artificer language we've never known existed.
Right. Because the mage didn't. Not that the mage would necessarily know it, but okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, and thank you for everything
no
you've done
problem.
again.
All right. Well, don't be a stranger. Come back as soon as you
Beware of
can.
those dimensional doorways that are being ripped.
I'll keep
That
my
was-
eyes looking out. We should have caught that one earlier. Something must have happened. That I'll have to talk with some guys and make sure we get the informants set up better in the Warrens. And
Well, I
Nimble
think they
should have
definitely
never gotten that far without us knowing.
Did I tell her about the ritual table and?
Yeah,
Did
I thought you mentioned
okay.
all this stuff.
I thought I did. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
going to send some guys at least to get some of the stuff too. So, but you guys already took most of the documents. So.
All right. Well,
All right, you head back towards the ship.
Yes.
You get there right about the time Rutillo does.
Okay.
So as you go up the gangplank, about 5 minutes after that, Rutillo announces his arrival. Him and Pau, and he says, "Rutillo and manservant to board, please."
Please come aboard. Welcome aboard.
All right, so they come up on board with Pau pulling up a trunk as well, and they get directed to the place you have them all the way down at the bottom. There was a desk in there that had been partially destroyed by the blast. I don't know if you guys kept it or not.
We probably. I mean, what else would you do with it, really?
Okay, so that's still down in there, sort of a somewhat charred desk, not super charred,
Okay.
but, and a chair. So that's the only thing in there. You probably added a couple of hammocks to it for now. So you take that down, and he looks at it,
And a vase with a flower.
Yeah, he looks at it a little bit. It's like, not ideal, but it will work for what we need. Thank you very much.
And I will introduce him to Aaron and the crew, any crew that had come past, mainly just the officers.
He pays you half of up front, so you get 10 gold of the
Okay.
20, as opposed to what Anita gave Hylough everything. Like she's
Yes.
paid for it. He's like, we'll get the rest when we get there, and maybe a tip if things go well.
And they will, I have no doubt.
And then you take him up and introduce him to the crew, to the rest of the command crew.
Yeah, the officers and that, and dinners at so and so, whatever.
Yep. And about that time is when Praedyth, Gulsa, and Dresd'a make it back from their trip to the library. And they come up on a board and see you introducing this guy, and I don't know what to do. What do you guys do? Gulsa immediately heads to her front cabin. She kind of looks at the guy a little bit, but just in passing, and then continues on into.
Praedyth, when you have a moment, a word, please.
Praedyth will go. Praedyth wants to drop off some things, some like notes and stuff he took. At the
No, that's
library
fine. That's why I
and,
said when you have a moment. It's not.
Yeah, he's just gonna drop it off in the captain's cabin and then come back out for you.
Okay. I had someone translate these documents. I know you were working on it, but they couldn't give us a written translation. But perhaps it's some type of code, and the diagrams look like maybe making a weapon. So,
Well,
if
would
you
you
could
like me to make a full translation?
Yes, and then perhaps we could. I believe the person they captured was an artificer, and we can have our friend
Beanbeck
translate it.
How hard is it to remember the one thing that you guys made the most fun of when I first brought up the name?
Honestly,
I'm teasing you, John.
saying.
I'm teasing you,
Beanbeck,
John.
no worries.
But it is Beanbeck.
Beanbeck.
Yeah, I'm fine making a translation. I'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah, I mean, to translate all these pages will probably take probably about 8 hours or so, better part of a day. So I mean, there's a lot of
He'll
pages
just
here.
he'll just be doing it when he has time.
That's fine.
So like an hour here or there.
Yeah, that's fine. Just letting you know.
I will take some of the diagram and see if Beanbick.
So you're going to take that up to Beanbick?
Yeah.
Okay, so you head up there, and you get up to there, and he's found a small little crate that he's currently standing on, looking over the top of one of the ballista, doing some measurements. He's kind of oblivious to you until you kind of scrape the thing, and then he looks over. He's like, "Oh,
make sure he doesn't jump overboard in shock."
No, he doesn't. He just
okay.
He's like, "Oh, I'm looking at the stuff. Anything you need? I mean, these are really good crystals. I'm gonna be able to do a little bit better than I thought I could."
Excellent. And I do have a favor to ask. Can you look at this and see if this diagram makes any sense to you?
All right. So you hand over the paper, and he looks at it, and there's a brief, almost imperceptible. You notice it, widening of his eyes, and then he kind of looked, and then that just goes away real quick, and then he kind of like he looks at it for maybe another 5 seconds, and then he hands it back and he says, "No, never seen anything like that. I don't know what it says."
Well. But could you guess? I mean, I know you don't know what it says necessarily. Can you read Draconic?
Good question.
Insight to see his reaction.
Good question. I actually don't know if he can or not.
Oh, okay.
I need to check it real quick. He says,
I was mainly seeing if you recognize the diagrams. That's pictures. So.
Well, I mean, you can still insight, but he says, I mean, I know a smattering of it. That's clearly Draconic.
Well, we're trying to see. I think this might be something.
No, I mean it's very clear that he read that very clear from the eye widening.
Yeah, that he knows
something. He knows something about this.
Okay. So, a person named Daxios wrote this. Did his eyes get any wider at that?
Well, I need to have him make a roll. Then.
Can we do a perception roll too?
Give me a second. Let me make my roll first. Jeez, always with the things you are. Oh man, this is gonna be terrible. He says, name is not very familiar to me after a slight hesitation. I mean,
well,
I don't think you need to roll an insight check. Your passive is higher than that roll.
So
it's very clear he's lying.
So
he starts to fidget a little bit. He says, I really want to get back to this sort of stuff here. I mean,
well,
the sooner I can get it done, the sooner I feel like I've paid for my way on the ship and things like that.
And you certainly will, and I know you're going to do a great job on this. This, however, is important because they're pirates in this waters, and we took these documents from them. So anything you can lead us of what we may be facing.
He looks around a little bit. He kind of looks around a bit and he says, I don't know a Daxios. I really don't.
But?
No, I don't know a Daxios. And I really like to get back to what I'm working
on. Well, I'm going to do a little persuasion that...
Go for it.
He may not be going by that name, but you know someone else who would be like this. And then I'll go ahead and use a D8 on that as well.
Okay.
So a 22 net.
He's like, let's talk about this later.
I'll count on it.
There may be somebody that there may be somebody from where I'm from that might be able to know stuff like this, know something about this, but let's just talk about it later. He seems very he seems uncomfortable.
I'll back off. But I know he knows something, obviously. And
no, it's obvious he knows something.
Yeah, I'll wait till we get to
his lying was absolutely terrible. For crying out loud. That's terrible. Yeah, so he goes back to start tinkering on the thing, although it doesn't look like he's as into the work as he was when you first got here.
Okay.
He seems still slightly distracted as you head away.
All right.
You better not have ruined it. He's going to make bad things happen to our
He can-
ballista.
maybe he'll figure out these things. We'll get even a better weapon, a wave motion gun or something.
You guys, anything else you guys are doing? It's about 20 minutes before tide. At about this point in time, you hear a hail from below. Essenza, Marcus, Aaron, Captain Aaron, sorry, Captain Aaron. You realize it's Pero. He's like, I will be a pirate for today. Do you any particular route you wish to leave by? Northerly route, southerly route?
Aaron, Praedyth, how did we decide?
Like, he can pilot you to a particular spot where it would be easier to go south
North
around
or south.
north around. That's all he's doing.
I gave I gave 2 options of going either north or
North would
through
be
the middle.
faster, south would be slower.
I think south would be better because it's safer. Would be Marcus's, who doesn't want to mess with pirates, vote. But
How much faster is north?
I thought that
Hold on, I can tell you.
the
Give me a
middle
second.
passage was the one that we know more pirates.
No. There's a northerly route around. Okay, so here's what I mean by north and south. Here we go. Just a second. North out of here, up around here, versus south out of here and down around towards Port Hope and around this way.
Oh, I'd say we go north. Right?
North is about 5.5 days or so. South is going to be, let's see, Esperari from Margali is about 2 days, a little over 2 days, not much over 2 days, and then from Esperari to Calastria is 420 miles, so about 3.5 days. So it's 6 days southern route, 5.5 days northern route.
okay.
We
Northern, we had the potential ghost pirate.
Oh,
Not that he can't be on
that's what you
south, but-
that's where you were being chased from. Yes, but
Right.
Isn't the southern route more protected by the Margali Navy?
yes. There's
Yeah,
more.
we're going south.
There's more ships along the southern route. All right.
To the southern route,
probably
please.
we're not gonna. We'll go through the wall in the middle.
Yeah, either way,
that's what I want.
you're going through the wall in the middle. It's just a question of how you're getting around the
Well, I thought there was a
Perdido
possible
Islands.
passage up through the wall.
Oh no,
from the
you can
north.
get it through. You can go through up here. You can go through here, or there are supposedly some passages here in the south. But no captain.
But he got a map.
You have a map
I
of
have
the middle
maps
and the
for
north.
The middle and the north.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a telescope.
But as I told you, even the north has a few things that are just not very well charted. The middle one is pretty much almost a complete map. The northern one, there's a bunch of stuff charted here that is very clear, so that's the route you would take through. But as it gets further and further away from that northern spot, it gets less and less accurate from what you can tell.
Okay. Yeah, let's go south.
Right. So Pero's like, all right, I will get you on your way. And he pops into a rowboat and says, drop me at the line. Gentlemen, untie the ship, please. He's talking to some dock workers on the thing. And you guys are off as you drop a line to him and he starts rowing a boat and, in this case, pulling your ship out a little bit. Like, you guys are all floating, so you and a couple of guys on the dock are pulling the line with it to kind of get your ship away from the dock enough so you can get turned and start out towards out on the bay. You guys get maybe about the nose of the boat is approximately equal to the end of the dock when you notice a commotion on the docks. Let's see here. Looking over, you see
we leave?
Looking over, you see a boy running down the docks, being chased by 3 men wearing the brown coats marking them as the Viaja Guard. As an aside, the guard of the Viaja is also known as the Browncoats, the Brownies, or the Skids, depending on who you talk to. The boy passes between dock workers, leaps over crates and barrels, and continues to elude his pursuers. As the ship starts to turn at the end of the dock and getting ready to start heading out, the boy turns down the dock you were just docked at and leaps as far out into the water as he can, splashing into the bay as the browncoats reach the end of the docks. several of you guys continue your turn and start to move towards out into the harbor a bit. Several of your crew are looking over
They're
the
on the
side,
line.
expecting the kid to pop up any second. And after a minute, a few of the crew start to look a bit concerned as the kid has not reappeared. One of the browncoats takes off some of his clothes and dives into the water. The ship continues to be pulled out into the Bay of Margali as the browncoat dives below the water multiple times, seeming to search for the child, coming back up eventually and just shaking his head.
Praedyth send his Raven to look around the ship, like at the sides of the ship, to see if the boy is on the ship.
Like if he's just really good at holding his breath.
Like a limpet.
You send the boat around.
His breath under and then latched onto the ship.
Give me a perception check as the bird is flying, circling the ship.
How about Rhux? Rhux could jump over maybe and dive in and swim around a little bit.
Not great.
Yeah, you don't notice anybody attached to the side.
All right. Well, sorry, kid.
I want to watch behind us. I want to try to look for bubbles.
I mean, Rhux will jump in and look around.
Okay.
But breathe. If you want, you can jump in and start looking around. But remember, the ship is on its way. The sails are starting to come up. At some point, it's going to pick up speed. You don't have a lot of time to do searching.
Why don't we stop slow for a second and see if take a 5 minute.
He'll take a quick look. Yeah.
All right. You drop into the water and swim around for about 5 minutes. Give me a perception check.
Can I assist by pointing for bubbles or?
You don't see any bubbles, so
okay.
Currently, so
I know it's in a base, so probably not.
There's. But give me the perception check.
I'm assuming you mean Rhux.
Yes, Rhux. Perception check.
Yes. Wrong screen. Here we go. Boink.
The water's a little murky, but your eyes are kind of used to that. Going along the edge of the ship and around it and things like that, you notice the rudder and all that sort of stuff. You don't notice anybody hanging out or anything like that. You don't see anybody swimming in the water or anything like that near the ship.
All right.
And you come up and get pulled back up, and Para's like, "What is taking you so long? I have other people that I need to get out of the decks as well. Are you guys ready to go?"
There was a boy who jumped in the water, but I guess he's gone.
Fair enough. He didn't notice that he was busy doing his rowing.
Right. I guess let's go on. Sorry.
Right. You guys, you rows you for a bit longer as the sails come up and you start to gather some of the wind. The wind is kind of coming from the west today, but you're able to get enough of an angle to get enough of it to start tacking back and forth. You notice ahead of you, they probably left maybe half an hour before you guys, are the Echinosian ships. You see all three of them heading out in front of you into the Bay of Margali itself. You continue out into the Gulf, following behind 5 other ships, including the 3 Echinosians that are clearly the ones from the docks. As you reach the mouth of the bay, about 4 hours later, so it's now, mid-afternoon. About 4 hours later, 2 of the Echinosian ships turn north, including the flagship, the one with the golden trim and things like that. And the smaller sloop, which is running a little low in the water, heads more directly toward the west, the direction you are heading. You guys doing anything in particular as the ship is leaving Margali or anything like that? Just trimming the sails, keeping things going? If so, Captain, give me a survival check as you start your journey, your next journey towards Calastria.
I also realized that I have that feature, Storm Guide. That lets me subtly control the weather around me if it's windy or things like that.
No, that's fine.
So I can
25
direct the sails
is
at least.
Good enough already there. So you guys, pretty clear sailing. Everything gets set up, trimmed pretty well. Relatively good catch of the wind, especially with Iylis giving a little bit of help. And that being said, the sloop continues to slightly outpace you. It's a smaller ship. It's a lighter ship, even with its weight, though. It's very clear the captain is very good at keeping through sort of the stuff of what's going on. But you still keep them in sight as we get on towards dusk. And as we get towards dusk, I have a vignette for you guys. Dusk falls in Calastria as the twin suns have almost completed their descent. Martin Sklar steps off the Vento Fortunato onto the docks and is met by a dark carriage. Opening the door, he nods to the man inside and steps in. A hand reaches out to close the door, and on the ring finger is a large golden signet ring bearing the mark of a rose. Martin Sklar has arrived in Calastria. As night falls, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Not what is you guys doing?
Set up watches and
trying to struggle with this vision I've just had.
You didn't have a vision. The vignette. I started going through things and like, hey, I should give you guys little vignettes and things like that of stuff that's going on outside of your direct purview, just as little teasers, little teases and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
like I'm wondering, like, how useful is that?
it's just an intriguing thing. There's no reason for you
Yeah,
not to know it.
it's very intriguing, but
There's no reason for you not to know it. You knew he was going to Calastria. I'm just telling you that
true.
he has just reached there now. So,
Cool.
It's ominous for the book.
It is ominous for the book.
Foreshadowing.
What are you guys doing this evening? Setting up watches? Anything else? At this point in time, you've had some dinner and stuff like that with everybody. Most of your passengers have been keeping to themselves for the most part. Galsa is for you, Dresd'a. Galsa has been spending most of her time today busy writing up something and some notes and things like that. But other than that, she has pretty much left you alone. Clattertrap has continued to work on the ballista. As the evening had fallen, anybody that looked up there had notices that there are a bunch of runes inscribed all over the main frames of the ballista. So clearly he's been busy. He kind of hurries past during dinner, gets some quick food, and heads down into the cabin where he's at with you, Hylough. Anybody doing anything else?
Yeah, I will follow him down.
Okay.
Follow Beanbag down. So, you're doing. How goes the ballista?
It's going fine. Got big stuff. I think I might actually have a test tomorrow, at least with one of them.
Oh, excellent! Excellent. We got a couple extra bolts that you probably use to. Well, actually, I guess it's going to create its own, right?
I
you
don't need
any more bolts.
Those bolts will be not the word. Word is not extinct. Redundant by the time I'm done.
Yeah. Well, good. Good, because magical weapons can. I mean, that could save our lives if we run into something.
Many things can save lives.
Yeah. So
just stay away from sharks. I hear they're very hungry.
Yes, and zombies.
That would save your life too.
It would. It would. So let's talk a little bit about these plans, these diagrams.
He's like, I got to go make sure that the helical is all set up correctly.
I'd like to do this now. We're alone. The crew's at mess. No one's here. You don't have to worry about. It's only Hylough, and I didn't realize you were there. Actually, I thought you were still eating.
I'll leave.
No,
I'll leave.
I mean we have. It could concern all of us because it's. I think I need to know what these plans are. I need to know what has spooked you about this.
Nothing spooked me about it. I don't know what it is at all. I mean, it seems to be gibberish and draconic.
It is, but I think you know a little. I'm pretty good at reading people, and
I'm not just any person. I'm a gnome.
You're not. You are a gnome. But I still think you could help me learn more about this. So I'm asking as
I
a
don't
friend.
know why you think I could help you learn more about it. I really don't know anything about it. I've never heard the name Daxios either.
But is there a language or code that people make their plans? Perhaps you can tell me that their plans, artificers. There's something that
He's
you
like,
write things in, so other artificers could learn and know from your trials.
I don't know what you mean. Like a code? Like we write lots of codes. A reason. I mean, sometimes things are secret for a reason.
Right. To save lives, to protect lives.
Not necessarily protect lives, protect trade secrets.
Well, but knowledge is definitely useful to save lives, right?
It depends on the knowledge and the person who's using it.
Yep. So what can you tell me?
Well, every life is worth living.
About the diagram. This is more important than you know. This is many people's lives.
He says, "Oh, I know how important it is." And then he seems like think about what he just said. Like, crap.
What did he just say? Sorry, I didn't hear you say.
He almost under his breath. He says, "I know how important it is," and then sort of catches himself.
So, between you, me, and Hylough.
There is no between you, me, and Hylough.
There is right now in this moment.
I don't really know you very well.
True.
But I would ask where you found this stuff from.
I will tell you, we found these documents from a man who was taken by pirates.
What?
Exactly. Not only pirates, but Mad Dog.
I don't know who a Mad Dog is, but pirates took Daxios?
The person you don't know? Yes.
I gotta find my notes here. Give me a second. No, I have notes on this. I just gotta find them again because I moved stuff around.
They were very insistent upon taking him. In fact,
I'm gonna have to drop off. I got take my mom to hospital tomorrow for surgery. So
okay.
Keep well.
You have more of the documents? You only showed him one page, remember?
Yes, I do. And I'd like for you to work with us to find out what they are.
Well, I know what they are.
We're translating them now.
I don't need to translate them. I worked with him. Daxios helped us make the helical.
So
he's the one that figured out the blade thing that kind of runs around the air. It was kind of ingenious, actually. But I think it all stemmed from some of the other research he was working on.
So if he were forced to be making weapons for those who would use him for evil means, that would be very bad.
Really try to do that. He'd probably try to not do that. He doesn't really want to do that stuff. He really wants to.
Right, but if he's forced because he's been captured,
he likes to figure out how to make people move around and fly and things like that. That's what he likes to do. He is most of his stuff is, and even the page you got there is all about manipulating gravity. In fact,
like an airship?
That particular one there, I think, is his formula for making a pulse wave. Or at least parts of it. I didn't see the rest of it. Like, there's more to it than just that.
Okay. Hold on. I'll be right back with the rest of the documents. So I'll go get the rest of the documents.
Okay. I'm assuming Hylough is watching Bean Big like a dog now.
Yep.
Well, we're at sea, so I'm assuming he's not going to jump overboard.
I might jump overboard.
It depends on how bad
this really thinks it is. So he kind of sits in a hammock, and Hylough, as Marcus is going through the rest stuff, he's like, yeah, I know Daxios. Daxios worked with us in Glittercrag.
Where's that?
Oh, that's above Clastria.
Oh, that's right. I remember you telling me about that.
That's where I need to get the heal go back to, because that's so
Yeah.
caster can fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll
Well,
come back whenever. Let me know when I get back.
No, you get back after a little bit of awkward silence.
Okay, so I'll show him. So that's not a weapon. It's some type of, or it is a weapon for gravity.
Oh, well, I mean, he works on gravity stuff, and he kind of starts looking over the papers, and he starts shuffling them into a different order, and eventually he's got in essence, a sheaf of them set up in a particular way. He says, "All right, this is the right order. This mostly is just discussing his research about gravity and how it all works. Let's see here. What else is gravity manipulation?" And these are notes written in his code. And then the rest of this part here, starting here, is where some notes and examples of how some of the experiments he's been working on. And then here, this starts some formulas. This formula here, as he starts to read through it, he's going, "Oh, I didn't realize he had finally figured out how to manipulate gravity, or how to magnify gravity. Wow, that would be kind of strange. Why would you want to? Well, whatever." And then he kind of turns himself over and says, "Oh, wow, this is an example. This is an extension of that to making things immovable. Huh. Movable. Oh." Then he finishes up. "Oh, yeah, and this one's the pulse wave."
So yeah, there's a lot you can be doing with gravity. There's
yeah.
You could have a flying ship without an airship, perhaps without a
And that's when
balloon.
he kind of looks at you and says, Actually, that's when Pete looks at Marcus's page sheet real quick.
Says,
And Pete says, "That's kind of a leap for a guy with 10 intelligence." But
Oh, sorry.
but
Okay, well, I don't say that. Then.
that schmuck.
Well, no, 10 intelligence is average, but yeah.
Yeah, it's average, but it's kind of a leap. But
Okay, then I won't say that.
yeah, it's a little bit
Marcus's
of a leap.
player thinks that.
Yeah,
but
no,
Marcus
and that's
won't say
fine. Marcus's player can totally think that. That's fine. I'm just saying that's a little bit of a leap for a 10. But he's like, yeah, I mean, you can do a lot of things with gravity. I mean, Daxios once said that he was trying to figure out a way to make it so that lots of people could have airships, because the Ethereum's going to run out at some point. And if you could just figure out ways to manipulate the gravity, then there'd be no need for it. So he literally,
And whoever has that technology will make a fortune.
Oh,
or overthrow a government.
Oh, I don't think he was thinking of that. He just was trying to figure out some way of making it so everybody could have stuff.
Oh, I'm not concerned with him. I'm sure he's a wonderful person, and I mean, he's your friend, so, and he's worked with you. He's brilliant, but it's the people who aren't brilliant but are cruel who will take his work and turn it into something that truly is evil. And unfortunately, he's with someone who is truly evil and cruel.
Okay, well, I don't know anything about that. You're the one that's telling me this, but I'm not sure how you know that then. But he doesn't put two and two together. He's just like, I don't know how you know that.
Right, that's fine.
Whatever. There's some interesting stuff in here, though. I didn't realize he had gotten this far on a few things. Like this pulse wave thing, I think, with a bit of modification, we might be able to make it so that the figurehead on your ship could do it. Maybe once a day, but maybe only once a day, but probably could do it. It's like,
is that something you think, what would you need?
I'd have to do a little more math to it to figure out if we could extend its range, but it's a little. This particular one is a little low. Hey, don't you have a guy who does some magic stuff?
We have several.
Might be able to talk with him and see if he has some ideas.
Okay. I will summon
the gist of what I'm saying is that he thinks he can modify.
Modify the ship.
Let's do some mechanic stuff. The three things that he talks about are three actual, technically artificer formulas, but wizard spells really is what they are. Magnify gravity, immovable object, and pulse wave. Magnify gravity. All three of these are technically from the Critical Role stuff, but I thought they were kind of cool, so that's why. Magnify gravity. Where's the one? I'll tell you exactly what they do. I have to.
I know what a movable object does.
Yeah, a movable object basically just stops the thing. Magnify. Here, let me do a quick search. Gravity 5e. Here we go. Magnify gravity creates a black 10-foot radius sphere centered on a visible point with range. Within it, gravity increases for 1 round. On a failed Constitution saving throw, each creature within the sphere takes 2d8 force damage, and its speed is halved until the end of its next turn. On a successful save, it takes half as much and no reduction in speed. Anybody
that could be really useful.
For any duration, any loose object within the sphere requires a successful strength check against the caster's spell to save DC to pick up or move. And the damage increases if you increase the spell level. So that's Magnify Gravity. Movable.
I've already got Pulse Wave spell.
Yeah, Pulse Wave basically sends a pulse of gravity out.
Yeah, 30-foot cone.
Yeah. So movable object. You touch an object to manipulate the gravity around it to become a fixed point in space. So it's basically the same thing as an immovable rod, just in spell form.
Yep.
And then Pulse Wave, as you say.
Yeah, it's 30-foot cone, takes force damage. Fail save, you can push it 15 feet.
15 feet or pull it 15 feet.
Or pull it 15 feet.
Yeah. So,
which is incredibly good for a ship that wants to ram or doesn't want to be rammed.
Exactly. So he's implying that with some with some time, he might be able to make that, apply that to something on your ship as an infusion.
Okay. Well, let's definitely do that.
He's already thinking about that. He's like, okay. Wait, no, I gotta finish your ballistas. Sorry, but I would like to talk to some of your magic guys because they may need some help with a little bit of some of the magic, some of the math here, and some of the magical math.
Certainly.
But we can talk about it tomorrow. It's a little late. I really am tired from what I've been doing all day.
No, thank you.
Really, this needs to be kept between us because Daxio's helped us a lot on the helical. And part of why it works is because of him. And part of why his research works is because of Caster. So it shouldn't get out about this.
It's a group effort. It's a team, a crew of artificers going towards one goal.
I'm not sure if anybody, I think I can make the pulse wave work because, well, I have something here that will apply to it. I'm not sure if Daxios can make it work for other people without some stuff, which makes me. And suddenly something dawns on him. He's like, "Wait, we really need to get to Glittercrag."
Do you think he'll try to? Oh, would actually Marcus probably would put together the evilness that, that maybe his he might get robbed.
Yeah, maybe not that even because we just put 2 and 2 together that if Daxios lets it slip that he needs a stronger power source than he has available, and then lets it slip that he knows where one is.
Yeah,
Caster's in trouble.
Well, we'll get there since we double it. We're double our efforts. So.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Now we've got some more to think about. Okay. And,
I'll leave the room.
You leave the room.
Hylough. Not Hylough as I leave.
Yeah, salute, more or less. Good night.
All right. So I'll take the first watch. And,
okay.
I'll give the documents back to Brian, and I'll
Praedyth.
mention to Iylis, to Praedyth, and to Iylis that I'll talk to him in the morning actually because it won't matter at this point.
Right. You take the first watch.
I'll take third again.
Second and third. All right.
I'll be there at some point.
All right. First watch. Everything kind of settles down. At some point during the watch, Marcus, you see Rutilo come up onto the deck and go up to the forecastle and kind of look around into the night. It's a clear night. The small red moon is full, so there's sort of a red tinge on everything. It's large enough to provide a little bit of light, but not a ton. So there's like a sort of a red glow on the ruddy cheeks of people and things like that deepens the redness. Kind of makes them look a bit like Echinosians, or an Echinosian looks kind of like a demon in this kind of light.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It's because it just darkens the redness of their skin. But nothing else seems to. He watches that for a little bit, nods to you as he heads back down. That's about it for that. Who's second watch?
I can be.
All right. You start second watch. Okay.
A crit.
During second watch, it gets to be sort of the wee hour of the morning, maybe about 15, 20 minutes before you're going to go down to work. Actually, you go down and wake up Iylis, and the two of you come up on the deck. And when you get up on the deck, you find Conan tied up on the deck, and looking up, and he's the helmsman. Looking up at the helm, you see this person. Let me show you the picture. See this person.
Oh boy!
Looking down at you guys, and he's a
boy.
He's kind of moving the helm a little bit, and then he kind of points a pistol at you, and he says, "Hi, my name's Vencelis d'Entremont, and consider yourselves hijacked."
Well,
he's got balls. I'll give him that.
I'm there too, right? Since I said I was going to be on with Iylis, so.
You were just woken up, but and that's where we're going to end this particular part of our story.
Can you spell that guy's name?
His name is Vencelis d'Entremont. His name is spelled V as in Victor, Encelas.
Okay, the kid.
I have, he's, and you can tell he kind of looks similar to the kid that was running down the docks.
Yep.
Oh.
And we will pick this up next time.